Hello. We're just getting organized. Give us a second. Avery's just talking about how she's figured out the entire timeline of... Oh, I can hear myself. That's no. That's a big fat no. I can't... Can you... I can't stand to hear my own voice. I don't know if anyone else can. Yeah. Okay. Glad. I'm glad we're on the same page there. Okay. Let me... Since this song already shifted, I'm just going to do the most janky cut ever. So please forgive me. Ready? 3, 2, 1. There we go. All right. Now they can hear you guys, or they should be able to.
Hello.
Hi.
There we go.
Yay.
We did it. I'm only 9 minutes late. You know what? That's impressive.
That is impressive.
It usually
That's good for you.
takes me way longer to get
That's
organized.
basically early for you.
Basically, yeah,
Dude, last night was tough.
yeah, we struggled. Hi,
Sarah called me 30 minutes before we were supposed to go live, driving home from work.
Work ran a little late yesterday, but hi everyone. Welcome to our Maas read along first live stream. We're very excited. It's a little surreal for me because the last time I did this, I was by myself. So now I have friends. Now I get to talk to you guys about it. And you guys picked the right one because I can't talk really about Rowan. So that was a good choice on your part. Air of fire. I'm like, yeah, he's here.
Meanwhile, I'm here for the duration. It's fine.
Yeah, you kind of got screwed. Sorry. But just want to remind you guys a little bit of housekeeping. Number one, we are monitoring YouTube comments. So if you guys say something, we will try and call it out. There is also a Slido. For anyone who's not familiar with Slido, we use it as a way to find questions essentially so they don't get buried in the comments. You just go to slido.com and your code tonight is flowerpot. I'll explain why it's flowerpot.
Of course it frickin' is.
Do you
I
want to
hate
explain
you.
why?
Yeah, I'll explain why it's flowerpot later, but it is flowerpot all together. And then the only other thing I was going to say is this is a series spoiler. So everyone here is welcome to discuss anything regarding Throne of Glass. Could go all the way to Kingdom of Ash. Just because some of us, myself included, forget what happens between Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight. I get the two confused. So I'm like, oh, you know what? We'll just make it easy. And then we have Tom Holland here. So
Yeah.
Do I need to bring up the For Blood and Ash brunch?
Oh, yeah, I did. I will. You know what? I might as well just go and say it since it's series spoilers. We might as well just start off strong. At the From Blood and Ash brunch, I forgot who was where in the series, at the table. And I don't know how it got brought up, but I was like, well, at least she's not in a coffin with an iron mask on. And Hope just started crying. She was like, what?
I have never made anyone cry both times I did my Tom Holland moment.
Funny thing, though, is
You got close with me, ma'am.
Yeah, you did.
I did get close, but you didn't.
Yeah, but what was funny was she still doesn't know who's in the iron coffin, didn't hear me say the mask, and also didn't hear the person across the table say, no, but it was worse when he said, where's my wife? So, didn't hear that, only heard coffin.
She was talking to me the other day, and she was like, oh, God, and I just want to know who dies, and I'm like,
so sad.
Trust me, you don't know. I was like, you could never guess anything about the coffin.
Yeah.
So I calmed her down. So I feel like, Sarah, you and I are even now that you talked back Alex for me, and I talked back
that one
Hope.
was bad, though.
Talking back Alex for you was
that
the
took
most
4
trying
days.
time of our lives.
Yeah.
That was so rough because Sarah kept going, delete it, and I couldn't delete it because
Oh my
I
God.
kept getting notification.
Yeah. That's
Britt is fully lost.
She's like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
I'm soaking it in.
Yeah, the best. So to put it without saying, because I don't want to give spoilers for HOSAP.
Yeah.
Is someone posted a photo, not anyone in this chat, of Reese and Rune.
Mm-hmm.
And someone was like, why is there fan art? And I was like, I don't know. People think they look alike. It just drives me nuts, you know? And I was trying to play it off like it wasn't a big deal. And then Miss Isabella over here was like, well, it does say. And I was like, delete the comment.
And I was like, oh no. And I kept going, delete it.
It was like,
And then Alex just comes in and goes, what? And we were like, no.
The way I had to go into our like CC spoilers Marco Polo and be like, listen, here's the story. This is what we're sticking with. This is what we're telling her.
Yeah. Well, and then
the stress.
Sarah and I had like a team FU chat with Alex where we were in a Marco Polo, literally just being like, no, she doesn't know what she's talking about.
She doesn't know what she's
There's
talking
like
about.
a hint of it in like like archives, like it's in a book. Like, don't worry.
No. You're leaving out my favorite part, which was the fan art I sent you guys of Bryce reading Akamath. And I was like, tell her I was referring to this fan art.
Yes.
And I was like doing work on the back end.
And then Alex started spiraling and was theorizing. And I said, well,
you're the worst for this.
I said, it's not like she's going to just land and be like, it smells like grass. And everyone was like, you're the asshole.
She literally was like, it's not like she's gonna like fall out of the sky and like be like, hell has grass. And I literally was in there like, I am gonna ruin your life. I have to keep a straight face now.
Nothing can beat the guy I just told an hour ago at work that he came up to me and he was like, oh, my wife reads Sarah J. Maas and, she's read a few of her books. And I said, oh my God, you should go home and tell her how much you love Tamlin.
I love that.
Yeah. I was like, you'll get major brownie points when you get home. So.
That's sweet. I like that. Well, I bet all that stuff happens so quickly too. All the little stories that you must tell immediately.
Oh yeah. And it happens always very inconveniently. Because Sarah's only an hour behind me. So we're both at work and these two are in California, not at work yet when this is happening. And
Alex and Izzy.
Okay. Yeah, now we have to do this and we're at work and we're busy and what are we doing? And oh my God.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've already spiraled and we haven't even started. So
love it here.
Yeah.
Welcome to it.
Well, some of you guys recognize some of these faces, but I wanted to go and let everyone introduce themselves. For those of you that don't know me, hi, I'm Sarah. I am Rosebud Mode on TikTok and also go by Rosebud's Realm. And so we're doing a mass read along and this is our celebration of Throne of Glass. And then tomorrow we start Crown of Midnight.
Woo.
So, woo. Okay. I have Avery, Caitlin, Brittany, and then Izzy.
Okay. I am Avery. I am Freckles and Fiction over on TikTok. I am the resident-ish Gwenriel stan. That's kind of where I start and move and do all of the things. Sarah and I have been working on these notes for 86 years. So we are very excited that this has finally happened. Yay. Sarah and I also have a podcast that deep dives into some of the things we may not talk about tonight that if you're doing the read along might help you. So feel free to go listen to that. It is an hour and 45 minutes long. So, have fun. That's all I've got for you. I'm also on Instagram. Okay, cool.
Hey guys, I'm Caitlin. I am a Mountain Reader on TikTok and I'm Mountain Reader 19 on Instagram. I am currently with Mr. Rowan in Air of Fire in my reread. I have a color coding system in my highlighting because I'm rereading on the Kindle. So like yellow is for like foreshadowing within the Throne of Glass world, and then pink is for like Mass Universe. So I've been having fun with that. I'm really excited to do this all together and just talk theories. So I'm really happy to be here and happy to be with my gals.
Me?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm Brittany. My TikTok handle is Listen with Brit as well as the Instagram. They're both the same. I'm currently just finished book 2 in the Throne of Glass series, and I've never met Sam because I skipped Assassin's Blade the first time I read Throne of Glass. And so I'm very excited to meet this Sam man.
Oh, I can't wait for you to meet Lysandra.
And I'm ready for my heart to be torn out. I have seen the fan art.
I am
like when he's on the table, and I'm just like, I don't know. And some people have told me to read it after Air of Fire with the reread.
No,
okay.
Wrong.
This is why, and you already know this because of Queen of Shadows. They recommend that because 3 out of the 5 stories really tie into Queen of Shadows.
Yeah.
So that's why.
And that's what they said. Yeah. But I was like, you know what? I want to get him out of the way before before Heir of Fire, just so I can just enjoy that relationship.
Yeah.
And yeah,
you don't want to have Sam in between Rowan. Like,
Yeah, no,
separate
not after you meet Rowan. Like you want him
things are gonna suddenly
dead
connect.
and buried.
Like, things are gonna connect for you in a way that they connected for me. When I read Heir of Fire later on, I was like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's why Ansel's so
But
important.
meeting Lysandra in Assassin's Blade is
And seeing
Love of my
Dorian, when Dorian pops in
Yeah.
Assassin's Blade, because
yeah.
he's
I'm
just
excited.
like in the background.
You're gonna have so much fun.
It's fun.
I'm gonna need all of the Marco Polo reactions, pretty please.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Also, like, don't be afraid to just go right to, happy moments in Kingdom of Ash, because that's what I
Yeah.
needed after Assassin's Blade.
Woo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's rough. The ending is rough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a happy ending, so it's
Okay,
fine.
but like ink phase art of that is
it's horrible.
beautiful.
In the best way possible, it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's beautiful and it is gut wrenching, and I hate the fact that it exists in this world.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm glad it does because it just picks it so well. Like it's done so well, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
you took every ounce of pain and put it in
Yeah.
this artwork.
Yeah.
I will say that Assassin's Blade made me so paranoid for my husband to ever go out at night. That's all I'll
Oh,
say.
that's fair.
That's really
I
fair.
mean, to be fair, Sam was like 17.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really not a difference.
Yeah, that's true. I keep thinking you two are still going to prom every time you send like a photo of like the two of you together. I'm like, oh, they're on their way to prom. They look so cute. Okay,
We just celebrated our 3-month anniversary, our 1 week.
Oh
For a second, I
my.
was like, no, you didn't. Shut up.
No, like almost 10 years.
Yeah.
I am Izzy. I read these fics on TikTok and Instagram. I also write a lot of Gwynreal fanfic as Davis Danner on AO3 and Wattpad, namely A Court of Light and Melody and Trial of the Valkyrie. And Avery is like the resident ACOTAR encyclopedia for all of us. She is also very useful in the Gwynreal lives and the Asriel lives and the synonyms for Gwynreal and Asriel that we have more lives for, so we can keep talking about it. She always has the pages ready for those.
Yeah, and
I
when
do have the receipt.
and when she eventually
Yes.
writes my Throne of Glass fan fiction that I really want, I'll be useful.
You are a mess of so many questions.
Yeah,
To
that's
be
fine.
fair, the reason Izzy and I are friends is because she wrote fanfic. So
Yeah.
That's what we're alluding to.
Yeah, basically. So.
And then me and Sarah will finally be friends, I guess is what we're saying.
Wow, yeah, not like I didn't beta read Trial of the Valkyrie and say we could kill Asriel right now.
You want
And
them
I
to
literally was like,
divorce.
my favorite.
I did want
was
them to divorce.
okay, guys, what you don't know about Trial of the Valkyrie is there was almost something just like terrible. And Taylor and I were sitting there
You
and
can tell them.
I don't remember exactly what it was, but Sarah was like, okay, but what if we did this?
Yeah.
And Taylor and I both went, no.
You also think it's exclusive to just would do the same thing to Rowan.
What Sarah's suggestion was that at the very end they get divorced and go their separate ways for years. And I was like,
Yeah.
no.
I thought
No.
it would be funny.
No, you are
No.
the only person alive who would think that separating Gwen and Asriel after they've mated and been
They
happy.
weren't okay. You know what? We could talk about this later because that's not how this conversation
Throne of Glass
went down.
Live.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're gonna talk about top 5 things that happen in Throne of Glass. And by the way, if you guys have anything else you want to discuss, I actually picked 6. So, but some of them are more just like character conversations, because I think when you read these characters the first time, you have a very strong opinion. And then when you read them the second time, it's a very different opinion. But the first thing, which we got to talk about, which is one of my favorite parts on a reread, is the entrance, the start of the book. Because like Selena, first off, Kale, God bless him. He's doing his absolute best in that first chapter where he is trying to confuse Selena, but he's not succeeding. And you know what? I gotta give him credit because, like, he's doing his job. But it is funny how the first time you read it, like, I thought I'm pretty sure the first time I read it, I thought Kale was so much older. And then I was like, oh, they're all close to the same
I was
age.
gonna say he's a literal child.
Yeah, he's 22, I think.
He's,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, I think so. He's older than Dorian though, right?
Yeah, but
I
think
Dorian
Dorian's
is
20.
20 and Selena's 19?
Yeah.
18.
18.
She's 18.
18.
Yes. Because she
Yeah.
turns 19
No,
in Air
Dorian's 19 because remember he screams about being
Oh,
only
yeah,
19.
yeah.
That's right.
He
That's
turns
right.
20 in Queen of Shadows. I forgot about that.
Why aren't you married yet? I'm 19.
Oh, yeah. And then he talks about not realizing he's talking about Manon. Okay, now I kind of remember. That's one of my favorite parts. But I also just wanted to bring up the entrance because I don't know if anyone notices this. A lot of people on TikTok bring it up, but it's one of my favorites, is Dorian's entrance because he is wearing a red cape with a black wyvern on his chest. And I don't know.
Obviously.
I don't know.
Did you not know?
Did you not know that?
I
think
didn't
it's.
remember that. It's been a year.
I think it was only. I think that's the only time he's wearing the red cape.
Remember, we think he might be wearing it in Queen of Shadows at his birthday, but we don't remember for a fact, and that we were
Yeah.
going to look it up later.
I forgot.
Yeah, well, that was.
Izzy, if it makes you feel better, the only reason I knew it is because I've already finished my reread of Throne of Glass, and I caught it then. I didn't catch it.
Cry.
Yeah, it's really good. There's
Yeah.
also another moment when like they're talking about like their entrances and stuff like that, and Dorian looks at Selena and goes, "What remarkable eyes you have, and how angry you are." And I
Yeah.
literally put in the notes, he needs to say, "My, what pretty teeth you have," to Manon because
Yeah.
you know.
But
Manon.
he does make a comment about her eyes, like how and like the gold rim and all that, and I'm like,
Oh yeah.
oh, you sweet,
Dorian is,
sweet child.
I believe that one is titled Dorian is perceptive and Kale is a buffoon.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I just want to quickly say before we totally get started on this, I don't hate Kale. Some people think I do. Does anyone hate Kale? It's totally fine if you do.
No,
Not really.
I dislike him vehemently, but I don't hate him.
I felt hate a lot for him, but by the time we got to Kingdom of Ash, I was like,
Yeah.
I forgave him after Tower of Dawn, but I had a
Yeah.
lot of animosity for him in Queen of Shadows. A lot
Yeah.
of it.
I love
I was
Queen of
really not happy
Shadows
with
was
him.
like-
Hello, cat. Sorry.
He's great in Crown of Midnight.
Yeah.
yeah.
In the
Except
beginning,
for,
first half.
Except for, that one part.
Well, he's great in the first half. I love him in the first half.
Yeah, I just finished my reread of that one. And I like him up until.
Yeah, that
Right.
one part where he kills Nehemia
It's fine.
inadvertently.
Well, it's not fine. I'm not happy about it. First off, that's what took the notes so long. When we got to Nehemia, I needed like a 3-week break because I
Yeah.
couldn't read her entrance. I was so upset. But like,
Yeah.
the only other thing with the entrance, which is one of my favorite little moments, is there is a line where Selena's like talking back to Dorian, and Kale's like, "Your Majesty," and both Selena and Dorian say at the same time, "What?" And he goes, "You call him Your Majesty." But reading back, I'm like, I wonder if she said that because she was like,
What do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean? How do you know I'm a Your Majesty?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
And then in the second chapter is the first mention of Pine and Snow. But it's in reference to Terrasen, not Rowan, just to clarify. But it is a reference. There is a lot of subtle references to Terrasen early on that I never realized.
Wait. Terrasen smells like pine and snow.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's why like Rowan
what-
smells so familiar
Okay,
to her.
yeah.
I'm like,
Easy, Caitlin. Easy.
Yeah. It's
but, like,
I
it's-
remember everyone's scent. I don't remember every place's scent. Those don't really stick with me as much for some
Well,
reason.
well, Valaris smells like bread.
Like red,
So-
red, and
Stop
and
it.
jasmine and jasmine.
And
Well, I
citrus.
thought it was just like
And citrus.
special because like with Rowan being her mate, I was
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna
like,
say he smells like home.
it makes sense that he smells like
Yeah.
home
Yeah.
because she has such love for her kingdom. It makes sense that their scent is similar.
The
You guys are getting me in my feels. Y'all are gonna get some fan fiction.
the
Bless. Give it to
the-
us. Come on.
There is a line in, I think it's Queen of Shadows or Empire of Storms, where it references that Rowan has never been to Terrasen. Like, he's never been that far north. And they're like, it's weird because he smells of it. Like,
Yeah.
so it is like, it is kind of like a funny little thing that he smells of pine and snow, but he also, like, has never been there. But then that's when you get to the cold Queen of Shadows conversation where, like, all of Aelin's family, like, loves, like, has fantasized about meeting him. And it's like, surprise! Okay, then moving on to Brandon's Forest. This is, I think it's chapter 5 or chapter 6 of Throne of Glass. Avery's going to reference it. But the main reason I want to bring it up is because that chapter, for anyone who hasn't read it, I would recommend rereading it because there's mention of goblins and nymphs and all these crazy nonsense. It also brings up the witches. It brings up that Aelin's fire magic.
Brings up the fae.
Brings up fae. It, like, there's just a lot in that chapter. And I think the first time you read it, if you're anything like me, I didn't realize it said that she had fire magic and thought she had flower magic.
So it's 30 and 31 of the Kindle edition. And it's she knew plenty about this forest, knew the denizens of this place had once been fairies, gnomes, sprites, nymphs, goblins, more names than anyone could count or remember. And then the fire magic is brought up when she's like 9 or something in this.
Yeah, so it
yes, she could still smell the fires that had raged throughout her 8th and 9th years.
Yeah, because she burned the libraries a little bit. Oops.
That all happens in chapter 5 of Throne of Glass.
It's
and
which the
you
first
go
time
just whoosh
the first time you
straight
read
up
it,
your head.
Yeah, you don't even pay attention, and then the second time you read it, it's like, oh, okay, Sarah.
Well, and the best part is like Sarah yelling about the fact that she didn't like Throne of Glass because she was sold on it being a fairy book, and then they don't mention the fae at all, and then we go back and we read this, and it's like in chapter 5, and she's like, great.
I remember when the flower crown and the little folk and all that, when that showed up. Can I tell you, that is the moment that made me kick myself so much later when we learned like Aelin's identity. I was like, oh, fucking course, because those were my favorite fairies as a kid.
Yeah.
And we're more than 10 minutes in, I can swear, right?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Yeah.
But that part I should have known.
It is funny how, I mean, there's plenty of things the first time you read this that you don't, not Kale, Dorian wearing a wyvern and a red cape. Like, you would have never, granted, Otterland's colors are red and black. So, like, it's not totally out of context. But when reading it now, you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. And then you also realize, like, because the king is gone, which I kind of remember this when I read it the first time. He's gone for the majority of Throne of Glass. Right. And then now we know it's because he was busy making sure that the wyverns were ready for the witches.
Yeah, he's in the White Fang Mountains. It's fine.
Yeah, it's totally fine. Yeah,
everything's fine.
So it is
fine.
It is very it's very interesting, and that chapter is one that I feel like is just important for the whole series without realizing it, basically. So the other thing, and I just wanted to bring up these 3 characters because I feel like reading the story the first time and then reading it on a reread, you have very different opinions, which is Nehemia, Nox, and Kaltain. So
okay,
let's start with let's save Kaltain for last.
Oh my god, I love her.
Let's start with Nehemia because she is obviously, and then we'll go to Nox because Nox is quick, and then we'll leave Kaltain for last. But Nehemia, it is fun to kind of see her scheme when you know what she's doing.
Yeah.
I knew she was always up to. I knew she knew more.
Yeah, like it was very obvious. Like she was up to something, and she kept reading into Selena, but like you didn't know why.
Yeah,
and you're just like, who is this person? What does she think she's doing? She's just like a princess. Like, what's going on? Which is kind of like keeps you hooked into Crown of Midnight because a lot of it is like as interesting as the story is, it's a lot of dueling and trials and all of this stuff that I just like don't necessarily grasp hold of immediately. So this little subline of intrigue through Nehemia was always something that I was like, okay, well, I want to find out more. What does she know? We're gonna find out. Turns out we do.
Yeah, I think she always left an air of what. Yeah, there was mystery, and now, like on the reread, the moment she sees the nameless mark on Aelin's brow, and it's like that changes. You can recognize it, and it changes everything for her. Whereas the first time you're like, I don't know what she sees on her brow, and then now it's like, oh,
right,
it's all coming together. That's actually a really good point. Does anyone remember the first time you read Throne of Glass? Did you actually like the first book or not?
Yes, I did. I loved it. I finished it in one day.
Okay, one day. Britt loved it.
Yep.
I finished it over the course of 3 days. It was I didn't eat it up like I ate up Akatar. but I was still intrigued by the story, and I knew because I'd been on Book Talk long enough that I was told that I needed to push through the first couple of books in Assassin's Blade to get to the part where I would get like really into the story and get to meet the witches and stuff like that. So I was like, I'm just gonna keep trucking. I'm just gonna keep doing it. And like it was interesting enough where I didn't DNF it. But like at first I was just kind of like, I don't know about this. But
Yeah.
obviously I love it. So
Caitlin, how about you?
I remember I read Akatar first, and I obviously was like obsessed with it. I loved it. I devoured it. And then everybody kept saying like, hey, like you should read this. And I was like, okay. So then I read it, and I remember I got like 60% in, and I was like, I don't understand why this book is like the thing to read. Like I'm not understanding.
yeah.
And I made a TikTok about it, and people were like, you have to finish it, like whatever. And like, I'm not a DNFer, so I was going to finish it anyway.
Right.
And then literally that night after I made the TikTok, I was like, oh, this is why it's the book. So I really like got hooked in that last like 40%. And then like after that, I devoured the series. And I think, I mean, like I'm not as fast as you guys, but I think I finished the entire series in a month and a half.
I mean, that's still quick. I know.
Yeah, it was about 2 months for me.
I was gonna say, Avery, you were 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, I did it in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. I was a week, but I skipped books, so ignore mine. Don't pay attention to me. Izzy, you were a month and a half?
I was a month and a half because I had to go on vacation and I didn't have the other book thing.
Okay, so you had a life. All right, that makes sense.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, Caitlin, it took you about a month?
Month and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Britt?
It took me 3 weeks, but I skipped Assassin's Blade and Tower of Dawn. So it would have taken me 4.
Blessings! Have you ever read Tower of Dawn? Oh, you're gonna love it.
Am I?
No, you will.
Yes,
No, you are.
You really
are.
will.
It's so good. Listen, okay, can I please just real fast?
Yeah, get on your soapbox, girl. Go.
If I don't shut up after 30 seconds, you shut me up, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, here we
I'm
go.
ready.
Okay, so here's the thing. I fucking hate love triangles. And I read the back of the book and I saw this is a fucking love triangle. I'm gonna go nuts.
Wait, what do you mean? How does this
Nezrin,
use a...
Nezrin, Irene, Kale. Nezrin,
Oh,
And
okay,
that,
got it.
And that is exactly my fucking point. She does not drag out that love triangle. She makes it apparent very quickly who is going to come out on top. It also has some of her most impressive world building I think that she's ever done. And she also takes a dive out of high fantasy adventure action into political subterfuge and intrigue. The end.
Did you?
All right.
I'm so proud of you.
Do you really like the political intrigue of Crescent City?
I love it. Yes.
No, I'm
Once
asking Britt.
Oh.
The other ginger.
Move over. I think it's good. I don't think it's amazingly done, but I think it's good.
I think you're gonna like Tower of Dawn. Also because the crossing Throne of Glass side of things is in Tower of Dawn.
That's what I did a summary so I would know some things going into like the big important things that I needed to know going to Kingdom of Ash. Like I'm not like blind. I wasn't going into Kingdom of Ash blind.
No, that was me.
But I just didn't want to. You cannot convince me that I needed to go through a 20-hour audiobook and then after that cliffhanger, and then I'd have to go to Kingdom of Ash.
Yep.
I was in tears. I was in tears after that book. And I was just like, no.
Kindred spirit totally gets
But
me.
the pacing in Tower of Dawn makes it fly by.
It is.
No, it really does.
It is very it is a calmer pace, and then all of a sudden at the end, like in a typical Sarah book, it just explodes. But the epilogue of Tower of Dawn is like, oh god.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think for
because
me
it gets you back to Aelin.
Yeah. And
Okay.
like the pacing, like it just helped me read faster. So like I started off reading the series really slow, and then it just got faster and faster, and then I ended up reading Kingdom of Ash in a day. So
I think, yeah,
That's impressive.
yeah, that's
no,
like,
it's not. It's psychotic.
Yeah,
That is.
Did you sleep? Did you work? Did you do anything? Like,
No, I had the day off. So I read
fair.
from 7 in the morning to I think 3 a.m.
But also,
Nonstop.
because you guys physically read, are you able to skim the
Yes.
detaily parts? You just you skim over things. Because with me, I can't do that. I
Right.
have to listen to every word.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I do try to listen
Yeah.
quickly. Like I'm much faster than I was the
Right.
first time I listened to Throne of
Yeah.
Glass. I was at
What?
like 1.2 speed for the whole
Okay.
thing. And now my sweet spot is 1.6, but I can go to 2.0. So Tower of Dawn is only going to take me 10 hours, whereas before it was
Yeah.
going to take me 20.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna like it. Listen, don't think of it as a Kale book. It's a Sartak book, and that is,
That's enough for me.
oh, he's so good. Like
Sartak is, oh my god.
Sartak is how you know she wrote Reese. You're like, oh, she wrote Reese, and then was like, we're gonna add a little Reese spin on Sartak.
Okay.
Also,
okay.
let's not downplay Irene making Kale more palatable for people who don't.
So true. Yeah.
Irene says everything to Kale that you want to say to Kale.
Yeah, she does. She does. Well, that's why she's perfect. So,
Yes.
okay. Going back to, so we talked about Nehemia, Nox. I think the only thing I want to bring up is he deserves
That he's-
better in Kingdom of Ash, but
But he's adorable and lovely, and we love him. So
he's so cute in Throne of Glass.
You know, I was scared to death he was gonna die in Throne of Glass.
That's
I was
fair.
scared
The
to
first time?
death. Yeah, the first
Yeah.
Well, I've only read it once. I read it last year for the first time.
I mean, technically, he does almost die.
He does almost die, and I was
Yeah.
on the balcony, and my neighbor just hears me go, "What?" so loud when he almost falls, and I was like, "Ah!"
I just love that's the connection. Like she saves him. No, I'm saying like she saves him in that
Yes.
moment because of because of the connection that they have also from their home and all of this. And then later on him being the assassin that is
Yeah.
for Paranth, who's essentially going to be Illy's assassin, is just incredible. Like full circle
yeah.
moment.
They're both assassins with hearts of gold.
Yeah, the only thing
Well,
the only thing that bothers me, and we'll talk about it again when we do Kingdom of Ash, is like he never sees Aelin.
no,
He sees
Poor
Lysandra
guy.
as Aelin.
poor guy.
So they never had that, which is when he was like, you're not the chick I met in the castle a year ago. Like,
Yeah.
Say.
yeah, so that's...
Okay. But what I love about Nox also is at the end of this book when he does like the whole speech about like how she didn't have to help him and like he's grateful that she did.
Yeah.
I love that whole little character moment with him.
Yeah.
I remember
Nox...
reading-
Go
I
ahead,
remember
sorry.
reading Throne of Glass for the first time, and I really liked him, and I wanted so bad. Like when I was reading the rest of the series, I was like, when is he gonna show back up? Like I
Yes.
want him back because like I thought he had a lot of character potential, and I kind of wish we did get more of him.
Yeah.
Did anyone
I
think he
agree.
was going to get together with Selena? Because I did.
Mm-mm.
I did.
For 1 second I thought he was, but then I was
Yeah.
like, oh, it's gonna be Kale at first. I remember when he did show back up though, I was like, is he gonna sweep somebody off their feet? Because like, why are we bringing him back? I also texted Avery individual in OX when he showed back up.
Yeah.
Because I got so excited.
He's fun. Okay, and then Kaltain. So I have to bring up why the chat is called Flower, or why the Slido code is called Flower Pot really quick. So there's a reference. So for anyone who doesn't remember, in Throne of Glass, when Selena arrives to the glass castle and she's in her room, she sees Kaltain from the balcony, like basically gossiping and being a jerk. And so Selena takes a flower pot and pushes it, and it almost hits her. So the reason it's called Flower Pot is because like last year at some point we were looking at Throne of Glass trivia, and I'm not kidding you, when over half of the responses was flower pot. We were like, is it really that important of a moment that someone made Flower Pot the response to like 7 different versions of this one moment? So it's become a running joke now that Flower Pot has been a thing. But the other reason I wanted to bring up Kaltain is that's Kaltain's kind of like a Tamlin in the reverse, where like once you know her true intentions and what happens to her, you can never hate her again. Like you will always support and kind of hope
Wow.
that they like are friends.
That's good. I've never
Thanks.
thought about that comparison.
Thanks. I thought about it a lot. But yeah. Also, this is another really good time when the reread, because you notice that she says she's getting headaches all the time. She's smoking what is it? It's like just a pipe, isn't it?
It's opium.
That's what it is. Yeah. From the
Opium
Duke,
in a pipe.
aka Erewhon, but it's fine.
Yeah.
The amount of times I was like, if we just killed him right now.
Yeah. We had so many opportunities to, like,
Mm-hmm.
he was right there.
Well, and then when you find out about like what the king and the duke like have done to
Mhm.
her, and like they even talk about the experimenting, and then you see her being experimented on
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
Like it's just because obviously she's a little bit of a socialite and she's very vapid and that's just who she is. But
yes.
she's also
She's
a
not
victim
a
of her
mind-
circumstance.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think Sarah J. Maas does that really well with her villains, is that like 99% of the time, they're not like these mindless harpies that are just
Yeah, no.
bitchy. Like there's a reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I can't remember, Sam, if she brings up the wings in Throne of Glass or if it's just in Crown of Midnight, but she does hear wings flapping.
Yes.
Is it in Throne of Glass
Oh.
too? Or is it just
I
Crown
think
of
it's a
Midnight?
Throne of Glass. I'll look.
Okay, because I can't remember if she hears them in Throne of Glass, but I know she hears them in Crown of Midnight.
Yeah.
And yeah, and also, yeah, because someone just said she can't change her position in society, and she gets
Amazing.
punished for a crime for just being a vulnerable woman. It is true, like
Yeah, it's true.
because she's from such a highly magical, very rich family. They like essentially targeted her specifically, and
That's so true. That's a great point.
It's a bit tragic.
I think that's what makes Kaltain kind of like the scariest character. Like I would never want to be Kaltain if I
Mhm.
had to be anybody. I think that's what makes it so scary.
Yeah.
She's
I
so
think-
vulnerable.
Okay, so I found the wings thing. It is in Throne of Glass.
Oh, okay.
But I think what's also incredibly interesting is that what I forgot is that you do get Kaltain's POV in Throne of Glass.
Yes.
Yes.
You do.
And
A
I
few
completely
times.
forgot that we got in her head. Yeah.
Mm.
But it's I don't even know.
Does
what
she
chapter
have a
I'm
point
in.
of view in Queen of Shadows?
45.
No.
Oh, I think no. Wait,
I'd
doesn't
have to
she have
reread
like
it.
one chapter first?
Mhm.
I feel like there was a second right before she. No.
Yes.
Mhm.
No, I think you're right. Right before she
Yeah.
like exploded it, I think she did have a
Yes.
point of view.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she did. I'm pretty sure she did.
Yeah.
So
I just read this. I should know, but I'm pretty sure she does.
So it's chapter
She's cool.
45 for Throne of Glass, and it's actually in relation to Cain and not Duke Barrington that she notices like wings. But she
Oh.
says she tried to swallow as she neared him, but found her tongue to be leaden and paper dry. Each step brought him closer, made him bigger and taller, and her heartbeat thundered in her ears. Perhaps the opium had gone bad. Perhaps she'd smoked too much this time. Amid the pounding in her ears and her head, the whisper of wings filled the air.
So it's more in reference to the Valg
Probably, yeah.
than the actual wyverns at that point.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. It could be a mix of both.
But I mean, Cain does have the same ring that the king and the duke have.
Yeah, because
Oh.
they were essentially experimenting on they were A/B testing, as we like to say in marketing, on the two of them. So they gave him the ring and her the smoking to see which one would work better. And then I think in Queen of Shadows she has the collar and everything at that point. So it's like
Yes. She has the collar and the word stone is in her.
Yeah, she does. Yeah,
yeah.
in her arm.
Yeah, but they think she's controlled through the collar, but she was never
Right.
fully under their thing. So
Because she's a badass and we love her.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I
I mean,
sympathize.
In Queen of Shadows or Air of Fire, whichever one it is, we love her because she
Queen of
absolutely
Shadows.
destroys it.
Yeah.
She blows it up.
Yeah.
She's cool.
Goes out with a bang.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. The next thing is Elena.
Our
Everyone's
MVP.
like, she was our MVP on the podcast, but like Elena's a tricky character because I remember the first time I read Throne of Glass, she was what sold me on the series. I was like, oh, there's these tunnels and there's magics and these crazy stars on the ceiling, which sound a little like another place in another world, but it's fine. But I don't know. I think everyone kind of, maybe not. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself. But I feel like later in the series, she kind of gets a little trickier. But it is funny to see her in Throne of Glass and be like, do I like you? I don't know. I still don't know if I like her.
I mean, I like her. I didn't like her till after Kingdom of Ash when they get that little peek into why she is the way that she is.
Yeah.
And then I was like, if I was in like this destiny mission, I would
Yeah.
probably be a little bit abrasive as well.
Well,
Yeah.
also, did she like have to sacrifice like her resting spot to like be able
Yeah.
to be? So I feel like that kind of gained some respect with me. Like, sure, there
Yeah.
were points I was like frustrated with her,
Yeah.
but like I feel like at the end, when everything's done and over with, like I definitely have some respect for her.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, she's very active in Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and then she pops back up again, I think, in Empire of Storms.
Mhm.
So,
It's Empire Storms and Kingdom of Ash.
yeah, she's in Kingdom of Ash, but like we don't see her in Heir of Fire. Yeah, we don't see her in Heir of
Ooh.
Fire.
That's a good one. Somebody said that Elena reminds them of Dumbledore.
Okay,
and
I can see
and
that.
I
Yeah.
think that's so true because I have kind of like a love-hate relationship with Dumbledore, like for the
Same.
good of the whole world,
Yeah.
but at the same time, that's a kid,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what's different between Dumbledore and Elena very specifically is I mean,
We
we're
didn't
just
know
gonna
we were
take
going
it.
here.
But I think while Dumbledore values the greater good of the world, Elena values Aelin's life.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's not something like Dumbledore was literally raising Harry to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Oh.
comparison, I think, is just tough choices, just
Sure.
young people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a good comparison for sure.
Yeah,
That
no,
is
for
a good
sure.
one.
I mean, I
Yeah,
always
but that is the difference.
I
Yeah.
know, like, we talked about this earlier, but Throne of Glass is the shortest timeline of all Sarah's books. Like,
Mhm.
Crescent City's like a few years, ACOTAR's a few years, Throne of Glass is 14 months, is what it is, from Throne of Glass to Kingdom of Ash. I
That's
don't
fast.
care. Yeah, it's 14. It starts in, like, September-ish, and it goes until right before Christmas of the next year. So, but what I find so funny, and I don't know if anyone else feels this way, when you read Throne of Glass, I don't care that it's a year. I still view Selena, Dorian, and Kale as the golden trio of Harry Potter, where they are 11
Yes.
years old. And then I'm like, oh, right, they're 18. They're really like 18 to 22. Like,
They're grown-ups, yeah.
but I still view them as children.
They're taxpayers, and we
Yeah.
view them as children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Does anybody else hate that some authors use rhyming names? Because like in the
Yes.
audiobook, Selena and Elena sounded the same to me in a lot of instances.
Oh.
I'm just like, who is she talking to right now?
Oh, wait, this is a good question. Do you know in the audiobook, or do you remember it? The Halloween holiday. What do they call it?
Oh my god, we already verified this.
Do you remember?
Like, what's it called?
Mm-hmm. Like, how do they pronounce it?
I will just say it, Britt, if you want me to.
I mean,
Do
I
it.
pronounced it as Sam Hewen. You pronounced it as Salwayne. Salmaine?
Oh my god.
Salwyn?
Okay.
Salwyn. That's what it is. Jesus.
I said Samhain because
It is
looks-
Samhain in Celtic.
it
It's
looks
Samhain.
well, it's Samhain.
Avery's correct.
Right,
I mean,
but
I knew I was wrong,
the
though.
audiobook says Sam Hewen. The audiobook itself says Sam Hewen, and it drives me insane.
Yeah.
Guys, it's salmon, okay? No, what is it though, for real? What
I'm
is
just,
it?
it is Avery's
So-
correct.
So
What-
it's spelled
Avery, say it.
Samhuin, and I say Samhain because in Irish, Samhain, Samhain, which is the actual holiday, is pronounced Samhain.
Say it one more time.
Samhain.
Samhain. Okay, I got it.
I'm
Samhain,
still going to
Samhain.
call it Sam Hewen, but it's fine.
I mean, I might still call it salmon. We'll see.
I mean,
Sarah and I
we don't
had our
know.
own like Tupperware moment
but I think it's
in
well,
our podcast.
One more time.
yeah, well,
Wrong.
The funny thing too is like
Wrong.
I think there are plenty of moments in that audiobook where it's like the audiobook pronounces it one way, but then like in actuality it's pronounced totally different.
Well, and the
Correct.
problem is also that there's a whole ass pronunciation guide at the back of Throne of Glass, and guess what? Fucking word is not in that pronunciation guide.
Yeah, it's
Sam
not
Hewen.
Literally authors, any authors watching this, please know how to pronounce all the words you
I
put
need
in
a-
the book.
I need a full pronunciation guide listed for any and all world building.
I
please.
need one for every single one of her damn books because she Kale, like where I just want to know where it came from. That's all I
I
want to know.
don't want to ask the author, how do you say this? And then go,
Okay.
"Uh."
So somebody says in the YouTube comments that Sarah even says it's Sam Hewen. It was just made up. It's dumb. That's stupid.
incredible.
That's an
I
actor's
need
name.
to go back and make sure
Wrong.
it's actually Sam Hewen in the audiobook.
It
Yeah.
is. I listened to it the other day. I literally used an I used an Audible credit just to verify.
Listen, whisper sync life. That's what you do. You search it in Kindle and call it a day. Yeah, okay. And then we talked a little about that. The Yulmus / the Cinderella moment, because for those of you that don't know, Throne of Glass was a Cinderella retelling, like Akatar's A Beauty and the Beast retelling. All of us are like,
Can this be the thumbnail? Is just us being like,
I'm like, yeah. So it's kind of, I don't, whatever. Yeah. So, but the Yulmus part is really interesting because she goes and sees the priestesses with which they're wearing blue robes and the 8-pointed stars on their forehead and all this crazy.
We're going to
nonsense.
talk about that at the end of this.
Okay. And then
Because crossover.
I know, well, we may not have time for that. I'm just telling you. And then this is when she gets the arrow from Deanna. Well, the person who's acting in Deanna's behalf, but you know.
Yeah, the procession of the gods.
Yeah, and she's like, "Thanks, don't want to look at me."
A child.
Yeah.
thanks, I hate it.
Yeah, my favorite part too is her and Kale sleeping like in the pews.
Okay, so that was gonna be when we went to favorite parts. That was my favorite part.
Because I love that Kale's even sleeping. Like,
How relatable is that? How many
Yeah.
times did you fall asleep in church?
yeah, it's really cute.
Never. I was better than that.
Shut up, Avery.
Whatever.
Wrong.
I
I fell
heard
asleep so
every
much.
word in church.
You were the kid pretending to read their Bible. You were
No,
like,
I was the kid who actually had to carry the giant iron cross and the lighty thing in Methodist church.
Oh,
I'm never gonna get this image out of my head. I love that you're an acolyte.
I
yeah.
hated every minute of
Oh,
it.
you were. Oh, you really are Gwen. I didn't
I'm
realize that.
agnostic now, and here we
Oh.
are.
I was an acolyte too. I carried the candle.
That's,
I carried the
wow.
cross. We would have done so well together.
That's so funny. The yeah, just that whole ceremony was very relatable. And then the after part of like, you can't go to the, first off, all the assassins could go to the dinners and everything except
And the
for her.
balls.
And she was like, cool. So then this is when we have our little bippity boppity boo moment where, why am I blanking on her? Thank you. She comes in and she helps Selena get dressed, and then she sneaks out and goes to the ball and dances with Dorian, and then they kiss. And
Ew. Oh, we were talking about this, Sarah. I completely forgot about their romance. I 100% forgot about it.
were you ever like convinced that they could actually be together?
Yes, I was.
I
Really?
was.
I was naive.
I love Dorian and Selena.
Yeah, I did too. I was so Team Dorian, and then in Crown of Midnight when she's like with Kale, I'm like, what? You've got to be kidding. And then in Crown of Midnight where Dorian's like, and I closed my eyes and I let her go. I literally was screaming at my book. I was like, no, like I want him back.
Yep.
I didn't know
I
any
thought they
better.
were cute. I was
didn't
like,
know
a
better.
prince? Who wouldn't want a prince?
The letters were what sold.
Oh,
me.
we didn't even
I
talk about the
really know.
letters.
No, I was obsessed with Dorian and Selena, but I knew she was going Kale's direction just because of all of the little things she dropped in.
She
I was
had
like,
A lot of
She had more of a like basic common interest with Kale than she did with Dorian. Well,
Yeah.
Dorian doesn't know she's got more in common with him than she realizes,
right.
or than he realizes. But
Well, I think you also said it best when you said in the podcast that she would not sit on the throne of honor. So there was no way for them to really be together.
that.
she would
yeah,
burn
I
that
think,
throne.
I think also like while she is very reckless, Elena is also very smart,
Yeah.
and she recognizes that butterflies. Dorian gives her butterflies. Kale, and for the time being, Kale was going to challenge her, and
Yes.
she has a thing for people who make life hard on her,
Mhm.
and Dorian wasn't going to do that.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the reason. But I was sad, even though I knew that she wasn't going to end up with Dorian. I was like, oh, he's great.
Yeah, I mean Dorian's a catch.
He's a real cat. Honestly, I talk a big game about Kale. I want Dorian.
Yeah.
Dorian is so hot. He's so hot. It's
He
obnoxious.
was even hot in that book. Like
Close to the camera.
That man has blue eyes and dark hair, and he's not the love interest. Okay.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
Stead's a guy with white hair and green eyes.
The fuck?
With a weird tattoo. We'll talk about his tattoo on his face because that still kind of weirds me out. But yeah, I think it's funny too because I've heard from people who read the series while it was coming out because all of us had binged it. We were lucky that it came out and we finished it. There was a lot of Kale fans for Selena, even in Air Fire. But, people really loved Dorian, too. It was just a matter of figuring out who he was with. And I haven't asked, and I probably can ask a few people who read it while it was coming out. But I'm curious to know, like, when Manon did show up, like, was it obvious? Because it literally didn't hit me that was a couple until the moment in Empire of Storms. Like, even in Queen of Shadows, I was like, I don't know.
I have a friend named Amel who read them as they were coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that she did not see Minorian coming till the Witchling line. And that was when she was
Princeling,
like,
Witchling.
oh. Because she wasn't doing like a reread every year when they came out. She didn't notice the Wyvern thing. Yeah. So I know at least for one person it was not obvious.
It wasn't obvious to me.
Where
either.
is the Witchling Princeling line?
Queen of Shadows.
Queen of Shadows.
Queen of Shadows, the
Okay.
best.
Because that's when
The
I
best
was
book.
kind of like, there's gonna be something's going on.
Yeah,
here.
so
That's kind of like my flag.
the first time it happens, it's when Dorian still has the collar on. And then the second time it happens is in Empire of Storms, but it is more like Dorian's actually Dorian at that point.
Sorry, somebody in the YouTube comment said they were convinced that Manon was supposed to be with Lorcan.
I
and
kinda
have
love that.
questions.
Huh.
Could that cut? No, they would burn the entire world to the ground. That
No,
would not
that
work.
is-
They would kill each other.
Okay, but
That'd be great. Who would win? Manon?
Elite and Manon.
We'll get to that
well,
later.
we don't even need to talk about that. That's just assumed.
I
Yeah.
love them so much.
Yeah, that's really what's happening is Manon just fights Lorcan 24/7 to have time with Iliad.
Yeah, obviously.
That's the common consensus. And then anything else with the Christmas stuff? Anything you guys Christmas Cinderella stuff. In the original copy of, for anyone who doesn't know, the Queen of Glass was the original title of Throne of Glass, and it was published on Fiction Press. She ended up with Dorian.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I still have the copy you sent me on my
Yeah.
Kindle.
Rowan doesn't even... Oh, but you know what character does exist in that? Morgan.
What?
You're lying.
I love that that's Caitlin's first reaction.
No, I'm not. It's spelled
You're
different.
lying.
It's spelled different, but...
Okay, but do you guys remember? I don't think everybody was in the group at that point. But I was looking up Celtic mythology, and there is a part where the Morgan like has like a battle with Maeve, and I'm just I want that to like happen in the like World of Thrones glass book.
I think that'd be really fun.
The universe.
I think that was maybe why she included Morgan in the original, because she had intended for Maeve to eventually show up.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
And I haven't read Queen of Glass. I only like skimmed it, but based off of that very quick skim, I think she was the Bobby Yellowlegs.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. So
Doesn't surprise me though.
No.
Oh.
Okay, and then the last part of the top 5 that I wanted to bring up is the duel. So the duel was like, this is like really far at the very, very end of Throne of Glass, but I think it's important to bring up because number 1, Nehemia comes in, gives her a staff, basically as like a rebel situation / like wants to kind of help her. And then the other thing is like, and this is the part that blew my mind when I did the reread, which is Cain immediately picks up on the fact that she's Aelin and like says things about the night that her parents were murdered, which to me to this day it makes no sense how like he didn't explain that to Erewhon, but it's fine. Like the Valg just told Cain but didn't tell the rest. Okay. Anyways, I think too much into that, but it's just it's a really cool moment. And then also there's the iconic line about you were all players brought back to this game, or I'm butchering the line, but essentially it's like everyone's returned from thousands of years later. No, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I mean, you want just like our general thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay, so I really liked it to start. I was engaged with all of the book. Like I said, I finished it in a day. I took a whole week off because I knew that this book series was going to consume my life. I only got through Air of Fire in the end, I believe. But I actually thought that from like a critical standpoint, I thought that that scene went on a little too long. I actually skimmed probably about 3 pages. And I remember Dylan was reading next to me, my husband, and I looked over and I was like, this fight is still happening. And I couldn't understand why. But that said, I never picked up on, I was never expecting, Sarah and Avery, you guys both know what I thought. I thought that Selena was going to be killed by Aelin, and Aelin was going to take over as the main character. There was like a part of me that was like, oh, Aelin is Selena, right? But I didn't want to believe that I'd been spoiled, so I was like, oh, Selena is going to become too evil and then she's going to get killed. So
okay, but like, real question, did anybody else besides me immediately meet Selena and go, Selena is Aelin?
I've never heard the word Aelin before I read that first book.
I kind of got spoiled on TikTok because I was posting this whatever, and people were talking about an Aelin, and I was like, and then once I saw it in, I guess, was it Crown of Midnight that they start? I was like, oh, I wonder if it's like if she has a sister or something. Like I thought that's what it was gonna be.
Yeah, I knew Aelin existed, and then I just got like the little breadcrumbs or whatever, and I got major Anastasia vibes from both Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight, and I was like, she's the long lost princess. This is some Rapunzel Anastasia shit.
I wish I picked up on it. No, I was shocked.
Fun. My friends had to like look it up for me.
I got to the last page of Crown of Midnight, and that is what made me continue, because if that was not the way that series ended, I probably would have DNF'd it right then and there.
Yeah. Well, also, like, if you've read ACOTAR first, you're kind of wondering, oh, is this another human turned fae thing?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Because I was also waiting for that because I read ACOTAR.
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things about people who read ACOTAR first. Which is why, like, if you are hot, like, if you really love fantasy, I'm like, read Throne of Glass first. Don't read ACOTAR, because when you read ACOTAR first, you pick up on the mates thing very quickly. But if you don't pick up on it. You're like, but people who know Sarah's pattern are like, they should be mates, and I'm like, it's more complicated than that. And then there's a few other things. So I think it's because I think Sarah, and I mean, we can all agree, the Throne of Glass is a great book. I mean, it's an incredible debut novel in general, but it is not her best book.
But that's acceptable.
It totally is.
Yeah.
So I think it's hard for some people who read ACOTAR and then go to Throne of Glass. They're like, this isn't the same vibes. And I'm like, no. You have to give it a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that it's an unpopular opinion, but you can look at my other account, Izzy Eats Books on TikTok. And the second I started Throne of Glass, I got 2 pages in, and I was like, this is way better than ACOTAR.
Yeah.
I loved it way more.
It's a different series. It's a different
I think
feel.
I just also like her third-person perspective more than I like her first-person perspective.
That's fair.
I think that she's better that way.
Wait, that's a good thing. So I'm curious, Britt, because you listen to the audiobooks. So when I read the books, because there's no like POV switch, it's very easy for me to pick up when a point of view switches. Does it take, like when you're listening to it for the first time, does it take a second to realize that the point of view has switched?
Yeah, it takes me a second. Especially since there is no POV chapters, like the whole chapter is one person. That was the first time I'd ever experienced multiple POVs like the way she's done it. Yeah. And so it takes you a second, that's for sure.
Because do you prefer it that way, or do you prefer first person, or do you have, like, when you're listening, do you have a preference?
I prefer first person, but I don't mind third person at all. I just prefer first person because I feel like I can connect to the character better. But I will say third person works better for Throne of Glass because in third person, you can keep secrets easier.
Yes.
Because you're not in the brain immediately experiencing as you're going with the character. So I know exactly why she did third person, because there are secrets, especially secrets within our main character. And so it just makes sense to me.
The other thing too is, so like from a visual perspective, so like this, right? I mean, keep in mind, this is the UK edition, but it's the same vibe. this is always my indication that the point of view is switching, because
Yes.
then I visually look at that, I'm like, okay. And then Sarah's pretty good about, in the first sentence it'll say like the character's name of whose point of view is switched to, but when
Yes.
you're listening to it, I can understand you like not hearing that or paying
Yeah.
attention.
No, I hear it. I hear it well.
Okay. I'm like, you're just an expert at this point. I would be like,
Well, and
what's going
so
on?
one of my favorite videos, Brett, that you ever did was the slow-mo talking with your friends after you're done listening to an audiobook, because I relate to that. Because I listen to everything on 2x speed.
Yeah. Everything.
Just constantly.
I do that
Because
with
people don't talk fast enough.
I do that with
No.
Marco Polo. I'm just like, because I'm so used to like listening on 2x speed, and then it like catches up and it's like live, like whoever's
Yeah.
talking is
Sorry.
live. I'm like, oh, like I feel like we're like,
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. I just wanted to bring up some really cool foreshadowing that happens in this series, which is that the intense foreshadowing of the potential relationships. Number one, Selena constantly bringing up to Dorian, you need to marry in honor of your throne and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, pot me kettle. This is not a good moment for you. Dorian bringing up that he refuses to marry a woman that is, what is it, inferior of him, mind and spirit or something like that, which is Manon. And then Kale brings up a line that he doesn't want to marry a strong-headed woman. And I was like, that's cute. So those are just some funny little things that, I mean, for sure, people are always like, is Rowan referenced in the first? No, he is not. Just so you know, there's no reference of him in this first book. Anytime Pine and Snow is brought up, it's in reference to Terrasen. Like, he is referenced in Crown of Midnight and not Throne of Glass.
Wait, Sarah, I have a question for you. I don't remember what chapter or whatever. I do remember highlighting it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a point where Selena is struggling and she feels a breeze, like a wind. And I'm like,
Oh,
have like wind power.
isn't that
like,
during the duel?
it might be. It might, and like, but it comes like with Pine and Snow. Like she gets a breeze of it.
I think it's Elena. I think that is the reference to Elena, because that is.
But I love the idea that it could be.
Yeah,
Rowan.
listen, if
Like,
it's Rowan, I'll take
When I
it.
read it, I was like,
I think if Rowan wasn't such a dimwit at the beginning of Era of Fire, I would say, yeah, it
True.
could have been Rowan, but he was so.
that's where I'm at right now in my reread. And I'm just like
Oh,
he just finished her. Like
Angry Rowan is the best Rowan.
When there is nothing more infuriating on the reread than rereading when Maeve is brought in and Selena, or Aelin at the time, backs into Rowan, and Aelin or Maeve just smiles and laughs, and I'm like, Rowan, like, pay attention. Like, pay attention. What are you doing? Yeah. Any other like intense foreshadowing or anything you guys want to bring up before we do controversial opinions about Throne of Glass? No? Okay. My controversial opinion is I did not like the first book because it's all trials and I hate trials. So
I don't think it's that controversial.
How did you get through? We're going to talk about how you managed to get through my fan fiction, Trial of the Valkyrie. Now I see why you gave it 4 stars on Goodreads instead of 5 stars.
first off.
She absolutely skimmed through your trial chapters.
Yeah, I did.
100%.
Yeah, 1000% I figured.
100%.
Okay, so I think my unpopular opinion is that I loved it. I finished it so quickly. I'm not going to say that I was let down by ACOTAR. I didn't know what I was getting into. I had actually never read a fantasy romance novel before. So
okay.
I was kind of like, okay, we're not going to get like a whole lot of plot heavy. It's going to be relationship heavy. And then Throne of Glass actually turned out to be really plot heavy. And I was so surprised. And I devoured 5 books in a week, which is a lot for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's my unpopular opinion. I love the first one.
Okay.
It's not the best, but I liked it.
Any other crazy unpopular opinion?
I'm gonna popcorn it so that we don't get awkward. Avery, popcorning it to you.
Okay, there you go.
Oh, God almighty. Okay. I mean, I guess my semi-controversial opinion is that I don't know if it's controversial. I like Dorian better than Kale for Selena, but I still didn't think they would end up together.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that's just a good.
It is an opinion. That's what we're talking about, right?
I don't think it's controversial. I don't think it's controversial. I just think
Well,
it's
I don't know if I have a lot of controversial opinions about Throne of Glass itself, because like it's just like it's
Yeah,
the
I
first
just didn't
book.
like it.
Like
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I have any but the first book. I would say I have one for the series, but that's even hard to like think of one for the series.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Britt,
Britt?
anything for you?
I don't know. Sometimes I see on social media that this is a romance book.
Oh,
It's not. It's a book with romance.
that's not a controversial opinion. That's just a fact.
That's just
No,
a
But I
fact.
just see it and I'm just like, stop labeling Throne of Glass as fantasy romance. Stop it.
It is
is-
later,
It
but the
is-
first book is not.
It's
Yes.
fantasy with a romantic subplot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the romance is a subplot, a very, very well done subplot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's different than ACOTAR. ACOTAR is almost like a romance with a fantasy
Well,
subplot.
this is to kind of go off of what Britt's saying. Like, that was my problem, because what made me pick up Throne of Glass, and God knows why the algorithm did this to me, but I saw a TikTok about Throne of Glass before I ever saw one about ACOTAR. And so I was like, oh, but what sold me on it was they said it was a high fantasy romance about fae and magic. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be great. I had never read a fae book, and I was like, but I loved fairies growing up. I had a fairy that visited me when I was a little kid. So like, it was this whole thing. Loved fairies. Her name was Midnight. Like, absolutely loved it. Then later was like, wait, this is not a fae romance. I mean, it was misleading. So I agree that like people need to stop labeling as that, because it's more similar to Crescent City, where it's romance does not play a role. There's just a lot of world building, and then there's a tiny bit of romance.
Yeah.
Subplot.
It's a
I
subplot.
thought of one. I thought of a
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
if it's controversial. I think it's because Sarah wrote it when she was so young. It's still her early writing. I absolutely cannot stand having exclamation points in internal monologue. And
Okay.
It's all throughout.
Don't read Queen of Glass. Just
Yeah, the opening scene is just a whole bunch of that.
Can't relate. Can't relate.
don't. Yeah, you really can't.
That is the perk of listening
I
to
see
them.
no spelling, no grammar mistakes at all.
Yeah, you really, yeah, that would make sense. I always wonder, like, the narrator, if they notice it.
Oh, so I've said this so many times, but a good narrator can hide bad writing. If you are worried about your book, if you're a writer, if you're worried about your book, spend that money on that fantastic narrator.
Yeah.
They will fix your book as they go through it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I also think the narrator for Throne of Glass, she's a great pick, and they kept her, which was nice.
I don't know if it was her first job. I love her. I love Elizabeth Evans so much, but there are 0 accents in Throne of Glass, and this should have been her accented book series. It should have been full of accents,
I
and
completely
it was
agree.
not.
Because it threw me for a loop to hear her give an accent in Hosab, and I was like, excuse me, if Cormac gets an accent, Rowan should have had an accent.
100%.
Yeah. Completely agree with that. I'm curious to know if they ever do a graphic audio of Throne of Glass.
Hmm.
Love that.
That would be
they
fun.
will.
I'm sure they will, and I want an Irish Rowan.
Obviously. That TikTok that went around of the Irish Rowan accent.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. It's you heard it in Empire of Storms, but you'll hear it more in the Assassin's Blade audiobook. Ansel's accent is weird.
It's weird.
Oh, isn't
It's
it
Southern.
Wait, it's
Southern.
Southern.
It's a Southern accent,
Yeah.
which makes
Which
no
means
sense.
Manon should have a
Which
Southern
means
accent.
Manon should have a Southern accent.
But
Like
Manon
a
should
Southern
not.
American accent? Like
Yes.
a
Yeah.
blonde?
Like a
Literally.
me, but put on.
Where it's
Yes.
like, hey, Princeland,
No.
I'm the Witchland.
Yeah, just wait till
No.
wait till you start Assassin's Blade and you get to the desert story and you're like, I'm sorry, because she's the ginger, and you're like, oh, why?
She's like Annie Oakley, it
It's
sounds like. She's,
awful.
Oh my God, that's
well, shoot fire. I'm from Briarcliff.
It's
no.
really
Is that really? It's that bad?
yes. I'll play some of it. I think I have it.
Oh no.
It is pretty. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if I have Assassin's Blade, but it is. It is pretty
I am
bad.
from the South and like no.
It's the same thing as which one has it? Is it Declan or
Oh no.
is it Tristan? He's got the southern accent.
I think
It's the only line I remember from Earth and Blood is when he goes cloak and dagger shit, nice, and I was like, why?
Emily, I understand you.
Yeah, see, it just
My entire family's from Appalachia. Like the fact that I don't have a very strong Southern accent is a miracle.
But Britt, you're right, because when you start to get deeper into Throne of Glass, like there are so many different accents and they bring up different accents all the time, and there was not any accents in the audiobook.
And that's why I'm just wondering if that was her first go as being a narrator, or if Sarah J. Maas didn't want her to do anything, because I know she can do them because I've heard her narrate multiple things.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if she was just too nervous or she was told not to. So I'm curious about that.
Well, and then ACOTAR's just a mess because they have a different narrator for every book.
Ugh, I can't even with ACOTAR.
I really want to get into the graphic audio for ACOTAR. I want to do that with my fiance since he's so against reading. I can get him to listen to something, so I have to do it.
Wait, Britt, do you know what the guy who plays Lucian looks like? The voices?
So I actively try not to look at narrators.
You won't be disappointed.
You will not be disappointed.
Not by this guy.
And so that's good because then I will, because I worry. I'm so shallow. I can be so shallow sometimes.
Babe,
it's a good
Are you talking about Lucian?
Yes.
Okay.
Britt,
I was in the chat, sorry.
Britt, your
if
life
it's a
will
good
be better
sexy
for it.
voice, then
okay.
And if he doesn't match his voice,
it does.
I'm just telling you, we could have put a red wig on him and he could be in the Hulu show.
He is shocked by how much support he has,
He's
by
so
the way.
pretty.
I'm not kidding. I'm like, yeah, we're do you want me to send you up his Instagram profile? Because you're yeah.
I'll just hold it up for the camera here in a second.
Gabriel, if you see this, I'm really sorry, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're gonna be very excited. Okay. Then I guess my thing, and the last thing before we like tell everyone we're gonna officially talk crossovers of everything, is favorite or least favorite moment of Throne of Glass.
Favorite moment for me was definitely, and I know that I already said this earlier, favorite moment was them falling asleep in church, because that was really, really relatable.
Yes.
And then I already said this as well. Least favorite moment was the tail end of the ending duel between her and Cain. I thought it went on way too long. Like, we got the point. They're fighting. Like, we didn't need 3 pages.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would say one of my favorite moments is when she like has finally had enough and she shows them up in archery and she like just gets the bull, like all the bullseyes. That was such like an empowering moment. I really like that. And then I would say my least favorite, I don't know, I might have to think on that one.
Yeah.
It's hard.
No, it is hard. I think that's a great moment. We didn't talk about it, but it's a really good moment. Oh yeah, there he is. That's what he looks like.
Hang on, I gotta click on you so you can be bigger.
I'm telling him you guys are doing this right.
It's so blurry.
I know, I can't get it to focus. I'm sorry.
Wait, here. I'll just share my screen, okay? I'm also going to show him because he... Hold on.
Britt, I just messaged it to you on Instagram too.
Hold on, let me do it like this.
Perfect.
For everyone to see, this is what he looks like.
Ugh.
This is his Instagram. This is
I'm telling him.
Oh, it's not showing you guys. Hold on. I'll fix it. There we go.
God.
There he is. We're in the middle, but it's fine. That's what he looks
Gabriel,
like.
people really like you, bro.
You guys, go follow him. Give him love. He did
give him some love.
He did a really good job.
They are sending people to your profile.
He's so
right now.
pretty.
Oh my god. He's perfect.
He's so good.
He's cute.
He's cute.
Being Lucian.
He could be Lucian.
He could be. He could.
Sarah, pull up the one that
I'm on
Savannah that she said. There it is, right there.
One.
The smoking one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's nice. That's nice.
That's it.
That's it.
He literally could be it.
Lines,
That's
but
the
they're
one.
literally talking
God.
right now, Brandon.
Is he?
He's so pretty.
We just want more people to
Okay.
understand. He's hot. He's good. They did a good job. They did a good job casting him.
God,
You did a good job.
hot. I mean, he would need to bulk up, obviously, for
That's fine.
Lucian. But like,
Yeah, I think so too.
but yeah, that's the vibe.
Yeah. No, he's great. He 10 out of 10. Also, fun fact, Sarah was in the audition. So she was
Yeah.
very, very picky on who Lucian was. And he
Yeah,
got
she had-
selected.
She had
As
turned
she
down a few
should
people.
be.
And he
I think
thought
authors really need to be more.
Picky.
They should have.
Yeah.
They should have more say in more things. I keep hearing about how authors just don't have enough say in narrators. They don't have enough say in their cover art, and I'm just like, they should have all say. They should have 100% of say. Actually,
Mhm.
Yeah, they should. You're right.
Or you don't get access to it. Like
yeah.
that's it is their intellectual property.
Right. Yeah. So, favorite, least favorite. Any other favorite moments before we totally start? We've already been talking crossover, but anything crazy?
I mean,
a favorite for me was at the end when she's on the ground, just done. She's bleeding. She's on the inner circle. It's just really stuck with me. And Kale goes down to her level and says that you can do this. Basically,
Yeah.
I just really, really liked that part.
I was
he
gonna.
goes, he
Oh,
just
no.
said, "What?" with 3 exclamation marks.
yeah, we just showed it to a couple hundred people. It's fine.
He's gonna have an influx of followers.
I'm so sorry. No, Britt, you just reminded me. One of my favorite moments in Throne of Glass, and I always forget about it, is the first time Selena is brought to the king. She's freaking out, and Kale pulls her aside, and
Yeah.
he's like, "He's just a man." And I loved that he said that to her. It is,
Yep.
it is one of the best moments.
Yeah.
I love these. I love the little moments.
Yeah.
It brings
I
it all
mean,
together.
We all know that my favorite is the one and only mention of the 8-pointed star.
Yeah. But
That's my favorite moment.
I always say, and because you know how every time they make a TV show adaptation, there's the character that gets the biggest change from the book.
Yeah.
As much as I love Kale is that character for me that he's going to get the biggest change because he has incredibly iconic lines in Throne of Glass, in Crown of Midnight, even in Heir of Fire, he has amazing lines. But he also has so many weak points for me as a character, and I can see him in the TV show. Number one, being very hot, which would very confuse me. Number two, he has the potential to be such an incredible character, and I think it took a little too long in the series, which is fair. She was juggling a ton of characters, and she's obviously gotten really good at that now. But there are those little moments with him in the series is just he's so
I
good.
would say Kales has the most character development out of the majority of the characters in the series. He grows so much from when we first meet him to how he ends up.
Yes, they all do.
Mhm.
I mean, this is baby Dorian. We get what the hell is going on shapeshifting Dorian by the end of the series.
Woman Dorian.
Woman Dorian. It's very confusing. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So, okay, I do want to go ahead and bring up the Slido really quick because there are some questions that I just want to answer some of them. So the first one, which is kind of funny, it was, do you miss the days when Kane was our biggest problem?
A little bit, yeah.
The other thing too,
Well, as soon as we met Kane, I was like, I'm gonna miss the days when he was our biggest problem. That's what I thought.
You know what's funny is, and I can't believe it didn't happen in this live, but I will always say Kane and Karn. Get them confused.
Really
Karen?
proud of
That's
you.
another thing with the names. I hate it. Kane and Karen.
Yeah, those. It's funny how we
Oh, boy.
started with one and then went with the other.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You know, it's just they're very
Same
different.
font.
They're very different characters, but also
Right.
they have
Yeah.
a similar point to her.
They both suck.
Yeah, I do think, and I don't know if I'm crazy, but what happened with Kane and what happened with Karn in regards to the Valg and all this craziness, I don't know if it was just my imagination, but the stakes felt so much higher than and and especially when you put it into terms with like Silver Flames with Lanthus, who's Valg, like it's just funny to me. Like it took Cassian and Nesta so long to take care of him, and I'm like, Aelin could have done that in a second because,
Yes.
and I don't know if it's just like my misinterpretation of it, but the stakes feel higher in Throne of Glass.
The stakes are higher in Throne of Glass, but also Aurelia is overrun with Valg, and this is just one. And
Yeah.
like they don't know how to deal with that in Silver Flames. And so they do it the best way they know how, which is using a mirror and a magic sword. So,
Yeah. Okay, I don't remember the Greek, so I'm just skipping around to some of these questions. Someone said on page 361 there were 2 creatures now. The second one had wings. He was grinning as what or just as who? I think we've talked about this. Some of the creatures in Throne of Glass, specifically the Ridderak,
the Ridderak, the Adder, and the something
Crystallis.
Yes, the Crystallis demon. They all are very similarly described.
Yes, there is differences between all 3, but
yes,
it is, especially in Throne of Glass has the most like creepy creatures. Like you have the word hounds. There's so many different ones, and I think the Ridderak is one of the first ones we see, and we're like, ew, there is potential.
The Ridderak?
It's the Ridderak, so it is the monster that Cain unleashes to eat the insides of people that Aelin kills in Secret Tunnel.
He has a really creepy look too.
Yeah. But like when they first described him, I was like, this is the Crystallos demon.
Yes.
Like on the reread, I was like, because it eats the insides of people, which is exactly what it was trying to do to Micah. Like there's like a lot happening there.
Well, also, like I think it's either the first or the second murder, it describes them as being ripped in ribbons.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's graphic.
Yeah.
But ribbons specifically we see. I don't know if we're at that crossover part yet, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I think we allude to it right now. We're not.
And then, and someone did say, which we didn't touch on this, but I think it is, I would agree that's funny. So at the end of chapter 6 is this really iconic quote, which says, "Still the image haunted his dreams throughout the night, a lovely girl gazing at the stars and the stars who gazed back." And there's Sarah J. Maas basically being like, oh, to the stars, like she's already.
The dreams that are answered.
Mm-hmm. She doesn't realize, it's not like I'm sure she doesn't realize it, but.
I don't think it was intentional until later.
Yeah.
But
no.
Okay. I don't remember the green fire mentioned in Throne of Glass. I can look it up.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I might have an idea, but I'd have to look it up.
You go ahead. Continue.
Someone said that their favorite moment from this book is that you realize so much more later on, like everything is suddenly connecting. I think that is why Throne of Glass is worth the reread. Because
no results for green fire were found.
Okay. So we can look at it.
Try Emerald Flame.
I found it. Hold on.
If we need to, we can talk about it in the Discord too.
Yeah.
So that way we can.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, it's in Calm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why.
Okay.
There we go. That's why. I was like, I know there's some fire in Calm. When describing Gavin and Elena, it sounds like the night court even smells of roses for spring court. Gavin we didn't really touch on it, but one of the little Easter eggs I loved was how much Dorian loved and read and was very well versed in Gavin.
Yeah.
Which is why he recognized the Eye of Elena instantly on Selena at the time. So it is, and it was already planting the seed for them to eventually come together, which was kind of cool. So, big fan. This is a great, okay, now I guess I should say officially spoilers for Hosab, because the last question just came in and I'm going to ask it. So if you have not finished Hosab, at least Hosab, Sky and Breath, bye, because I'm going to drop a big spoiler bomb on you. So
bye.
It was so nice chatting with you. I'll see you on Discord.
Okay, give them an actual minute to escape.
I'm going to give them a minute. So much love.
I'm still looking for the green fire because somebody said it's mentioned in Throne of Glass when they first see the King of Otterland. So please hold.
Oh, okay.
Bye, Wicked Rose.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. She's gonna try and give the page number. Oh, it's in 60. The fireplace when Selena first sees the king. Yeah. Have fun. It'll be recorded. You can come back to this. I want to make sure you don't Get spoiled. What did he say? Izzy, did he respond?
Oh,
to
there
you
it is.
more?
There it is. There it is. I found it.
Is he watching?
This is. Wow. Okay.
You don't
it
think
says,
I know exactly what that means?
Okay. It says Duke the king said, his voice echoing through the chamber. The fire in the mouth-shaped fireplace flickered, and green light filled the shadows of the room.
Ooh.
And that's chapter 52. End of.
Oh, okay. So it's his point of view.
I think so. Yeah.
It's him
I
and
didn't-
Duke. It's that chapter, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I think. Okay. I don't know. I don't know if that has any significance to it.
I don't either.
Potentially.
Yeah, because I don't think I've seen it tie in any other series so far.
In the dark of the night, evil will find you.
That's what I think of too. Or like Harry Potter when he goes to Diagon Alley.
Yes!
It's the flu powder
That was-
power.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. y'all are talking about my two favorite things: Don Bluth and Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Not good.
Exactly. Okay. I think we've given him plenty of warning, so I'm just gonna go ahead and ask this question. Do you think
No.
we will actually see Throne of Glass in CC3?
Yes.
Yes.
We're going to
I
Terracin.
swear to God, if we don't go to Terrace, I'm gonna lose it.
Okay. It was like towards the end of the live, Avery, so you can grab it for your compilation of all the fucking times Sarah has said we're going to Terrace.
Dude, I've given up at this point. I have enough content. I'm good.
I mean,
We better.
Oh, Britt, what you don't know is that Sarah trolls me and she says, I swear to God, if we don't go to Terracin multiple times. And so I have like a file folder in my photos of, it's called Pine and Snow, of every time
Because
Sarah says that to me, so that I can do like a big compilation video when it
Yes.
actually happens.
I'm here for that.
this is the
I
thing. It just makes
go ahead.
sense. It's like,
It does.
Yep.
and especially when you read things in this book, and then you get to Crown of Midnight where she goes
You
to
know-
hell. Like, come on.
Except for we're going to show up in Rifthold and, Kale is going to be
Shut
the
up.
point of contact.
up.
And
Shut up.
Yeah, Elan's gonna be too busy. She can't come to
Yeah,
the phone right
she's going to
now.
be taking care of all of her kids that you don't get to see.
Kale can't even like read word marks, so he's useless. Like,
It's okay. It's okay.
he had to give the
Everyone
books
will
to
teach him.
Aelin to read. He was like, I don't know what this says. Here you go.
They can only communicate in the old language of the Fae, and isn't Rowan and Aelin the only ones who?
Oh no, it is the entire cadre. They all
Yeah.
can speak it. And
Oh,
Aelin
no.
So see,
is-
we don't need Rowan and Aelin.
Okay, anyways, and then Aelin is like broken.
She's gonna kick me out.
Aelin is
You're
like
really
broken
pushing
English, and which is like, this is really what I want. Is I really want Aelin to try and like translate and be like, "It's so nice to meet you," like, that
Oh my
person
God.
who like says Spanish and they really don't know Spanish. And then Rowan's like, "Can you just stop talking? Like, you are not making
Okay,
sense right
Where
now."
is the bathroom? How do I find a sandwich?
There's a movie on Netflix right now called Wedding Season where the guy he's marrying into a family and he's trying to learn how to speak Hindi, and he says things like, the bathroom sausage is what you look like, when he's trying to say like, I think you look beautiful. That is what I imagine. In this
Yeah, because
situation.
when Aelin sees Rowan in Air of Fire, she's like, "Oh, his tattoo is in the old language of the Fae. I don't know what it says," and I'm like,
Right.
"Oh, this is gonna go well." So I do think there's a possibility.
Well, if we go to Terracin, which we're going to Terracin,
Obviously.
what if we take Fenris with us? Because
No, he's staying.
but he's a wolf. and
No,
he
we're
can help-
we're taking the whole wolf tribe of Terracin. We don't need to take him Fenris.
Just
Okay?
apparently not Fenris.
I love
No,
Fenris.
no, we're leaving Fenris with Aelin. Okay, I can't separate them. All right.
Okay,
Like,
but what? But Adian has got Aelin. It'll be fine.
I'm just imagining someone who's never read the series tuning into this live suddenly and hearing all these words and just having no idea what we're talking
I'm
about.
Claire,
so
stop yelling
sorry.
about Therian.
she's yelling about there. But I mean, the only other thing that I will say about this book that felt kind of crossovery was when she goes down to the tunnels and she describes the night sky that's above the tomb where Elena
Yes,
and Gabriel.
but
that
also
feels
wrong.
that feels kind of no. It just felt.
It does. No. It totally does.
But I don't.
I'm agreeing.
I
but
don't-
it's not the only time.
No. I'm saying it's one. Well, I'm saying it's like one of the few times. Like that is
thank you.
one, and then obviously when they're in Brandon's forest, that's another. I know we don't need to show your binder, And then there's the
Wow.
and then there's the 8-pointed star, which is the other, obviously.
Thank you. Okay, but the 8-pointed star is slightly important because of the way the 8-pointed star is described is
Right.
very crossovery because it's literally described. I'm not going to read the whole thing, just this little part. Where an 8-pointed star was tattooed upon her brow in a shade of blue that matched her gown in sharp lines extending to her hairline. So it's tattooed like the halo, the slave halo
Mm-hmm.
for Hunt.
And it'll come
It's
up
important.
again. It'll come up again in Air of Fire when you get to the witches and the blue bloods. For anyone who thinks I didn't pay attention, I did. Okay.
Britt, have you never seen my notebook? Somebody's asking.
No,
That's a listen. Mine's all
I
digital.
have never seen the
This is-
Notebook.
This is my light singer theory.
Like, no wonder you guys know so much. Sometimes I feel like when I'm on these lives or when I hear you guys speaking just on TikToks or anything, I'm just like, did we read the same book?
You can ask the questions.
Me-
It's okay.
Yeah.
Believe me, I sometimes think Avery and I talk in like yesterday's like spiral where I was like,
Oh, we had an actual like epiphany spiral, and
We-
it happened for like 45 minutes. after.
we're pretty much convinced that High King Finn is Adis.
Yeah.
That's basically it. And there's not really a whole lot of contextual evidence to it, but
Oh, I'm here for it. I feel like Adis has a lot of potential to be a lot of people.
Yeah. You're getting a lot of agreement in the comments, Britt. They're like, I've never related to Britt more.
yeah.
I'm here for the people. I'm
Yeah.
here for the people.
Yeah, you can listen. Anyone is welcome to ask the questions because sometimes
Yeah.
we will just start being like, blah, 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 and everyone's like, back it up about 10 minutes ago. Okay.
Well, if we're going off that, I don't know what you guys are talking about with the red cape.
Oh, the red cape because of Manon. Because
Manon's
because Manon.
Can I just get some clarification real quick? Britt, you finished the series just the first time you skipped Assassin's Blade and Tower of Dawn, correct?
Correct.
So she's
Okay,
like me.
for a second I was like, is she in this and just doesn't give a fuck that she's getting
That's
spoiled?
what I thought at first. I
No.
was like,
Yeah.
It's been 4 years since I even picked this up.
okay.
No, I got you. Okay, that makes sense.
Makes
Pre book
sense.
talk.
Oh, I didn't even know book communities existed before TikTok, guys. I didn't even know.
Neither did I.
Wow.
Did I?
Facebook
didn't
groups
either.
were like the most fascinating thing to me. I was like, authors have Facebook groups.
Yeah, I had no idea. This is all new to me.
And
Books
now we don't shut up.
Yeah, and I'm here. I'm here to listen.
Can't get away from us. Every platform.
I know. One day
Book
Britt's
talk.
just gonna leave us. She's gonna be like, God, they're so obnoxious. And I'm gonna be like, I don't blame her.
No, I would be like, okay, that's fair. Makes sense.
Yeah. It is kind of funny. Like this is I did show someone at work the notes, like the notes that Avery and I worked on, which are like 100 and I think they're now 110
7.
pages. They're 110 pages by the end of tonight. Okay, by the end of tonight they'll be 110. Guarantee. Probably longer. And it is funny, like you think we're psychotic when you look at them, but then when you actually look at them, you're like, oh wait, we're definitely psychotic. I would never, ever, ever want Sarah to look at these notes ever.
She'll think we're insane.
Yeah, I actually do want to have a normal conversation with her and not think that I'm a psychopath. So thank you very much. But it is, she definitely has really cool connections that you just don't pick up on. And then you suddenly, I think once you read all of her books, you like kind of, I always say like, this is how every Sarah J Maas book goes. The beginning is really confusing. You never know what the hell's going on. Then you get around the 20s and that's where it's like, I'm kind of intrigued. Then you get to the 30s and it's either really boring or there's tons of world building. It's one or the other. The 50s is where she decides we're either going to have spicy time or something's exploding. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh my God, I have to end this book. And so then like the next few chapters are like craziness. And then it's like calm moment. Or if it's Empire Storms, it's not calm. Like every book
That sounds
has that
like
pattern.
her formula. That sounds
Yeah.
like a Sarah J Maas formula.
Yeah, if someone was, because you know how like some authors like, oh, if you're writing a book, like there's all these like the 27 like what is it, the 27 chapters like formula, like there's all these different ways, and I'm like, the Sarah J Maas formula is like confusion, happiness, oh, let me have spicy time / confuse everyone even more, and then oh, I gotta wrap this up here, let's have a C-section but not have a C-section, and then end.
Yeah.
Hey, Sarah, completely unrelated to everything we just talked about. I was chatting in the comment section,
Mhm.
And somebody said they'd join the Patreon to see my notes.
Okay, well, her notes are
Yes.
in our notes, so.
No. These are the theory notes, the binder.
Oh, well, that's up to Avery. That's up to Avery if she wants to copy and share those things.
We'll see.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. The theory notes, I think we'll probably keep close to the belt until we're closer to CC3. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of why we started this whole reread, because we felt like it's, number one, a lot of fun to now kind of see how her mind works. I mean, for anyone who doesn't know this, and this isn't a huge spoiler, Sarah is Jewish. She studied religious studies majors. So the salt mines is actually an homage to the concentration camps that, you know, the Holocaust had experienced. And so there are really cool homages if you pay attention. And it's, I don't want to say it's fun, but it is, and it is kind of fun to kind of piece that together and be like, oh my gosh, like there is significance behind this. There is, you know, there are moments where she puts in things that it's a lot of fun to kind of dig into, especially when you get into the Celtic mythology of like, oh, there's so many pieces to this world.
Yeah,
So.
I've listened to a bunch of Brandon Sanderson stuff, and he says
Yeah.
the best way, because the best way to write a book is to write what you know and expand on that. And I fully believe that. So I just feel like it's so obvious in a Sarah J. Maas book that she writes what she knows and she does well at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like that. I like that she just knows her stuff. She puts her own little twisty twist on it. And
Yeah.
I just love it.
Yeah. Someone brought up even in Queen of Shadows, the stones on Sam's grave. Yeah, that's another like an amazing call out that she has. Like there's so many, you know, and some, like I'm not Jewish, but when I discovered that, like I had such an appreciation for her putting that in.
Yep.
Because it is what she knows.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, she's,
I like it.
and also she's really good about the mental health stuff, because you don't really see it in Throne of Glass. I mean, you kind of do a little bit, but you see it more later, especially Airfire and especially Queen of Shadows and Empire of Storms. Like the journey in which these characters are going through, like Aelin goes through a lot of different things, but Manon also goes through her own struggles. Like there's so many incredible. Izzy, you know that they can see the. Oh, they can't. Okay, good. I was like, they might be able to see the chat when you type.
Yeah. I also love that Sarah J. Maas isn't afraid to go deep. Sometimes I feel like a lot of authors are afraid to push lines as far as like, is this too sad? Maybe, is this too traumatic? Maybe, is this too vulnerable? Maybe, she just goes for it.
Yeah.
And I feel
The
like
commitment,
all
yeah.
her characters can be related to somebody.
Yes.
And that's why there's like, you see so many sides. You're just like, oh, who do you relate to? This, and this is why. She also does side characters and friendships very, very, very well. Her group dynamics, I think, are healthy and well done, and some unhealthy, but in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
In a
I
way
think
that
it
makes you feel-
showcases her writing really well, her groups.
Yeah. Especially,
I
I
think-
mean, one of my favorite things is seeing the cadre, because
Yes.
they have a very interesting dynamic, especially
Yeah.
when Lorcan is leading it, and then all of a sudden when it has to switch to Rowan leading it, like there is a very interesting, I mean, they're the beginning of the inner circle. The inner circle had 500 years to eventually come together. The cadre were this weird mishmash misfit group that now gets to come together. So that's one of my favorite. I think you're right. It's really cool how she does it.
I think her strength really lies in her relationship writing. I think that her plots are good. I think that her characters are better.
Yeah.
And sorry,
Yeah.
don't mean to interrupt.
No. I was just going to say, and we all really care about them, which makes us care about the plot as well.
And I think that's why a lot of people prefer ACOTAR, because a lot of people just really, they want the relationships. I will always say Throne of Glass is the best plot out of the Sarah J. Maas books, and ACOTAR is the best
Relationship driven.
relationships, you could say. Yeah. Book series.
Because I feel like a lot of the characters in ACOTAR, when they have their friend or their partner, that's when you really start to like them. Because on their own, Azrael, they're good. You like them, but when they're with somebody, when you really, really like them.
I mean, even that's one of the really, and organically happened in this conversation. We spent more time talking about the women than we did the men.
Yeah.
Where I guarantee
the
you,
women in Throne of Glass.
when we switch to ACOTAR, we will spend more time talking about the men than we will the women.
That
And
is
it is just because of how those story, you know, who really leads the story. Yes, Feyre
Right.
is the lead in ACOTAR. She is 100% important. She has an incredible arc in all of her books. And then Nesta
Yeah.
in the same vein. The men in those series are very different and lead the story in a very different way, whereas a lot of the men in Throne of Glass take a back seat for the women. Dorian's
Yeah.
an incredible character, but when Manon enters the room, we're all looking at Manon. It's the
Yes.
same way with Aelin and Rowan. Like, it's a really kind of cool thing that she was able to flip it on the two series.
It comes down to one thing. The women in Throne of Glass have far more agency than the women do in ACOTAR.
Yeah.
Aelin, Lysandra, all of them are constantly driving their own storylines, whereas kind of like Tamlin, Rhysand, all of them sort of lead the storylines in ACOTAR.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we all like the women of Throne of Glass best.
Yeah.
I think that's why like a lot of us probably lean towards Nesta because she doesn't fall into that as much as Feyre does. Like I
Yes.
love Feyre, but like when I think of like strong women in the ACOTAR series, like Nesta's first.
Yes.
Yeah. If you're thinking strong women in the ACOTAR series, you're looking at the Valkyries.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like Mor and Amren and Feyre are all strong in their own right, but they are somewhat they take a back seat to the Bat Boys and the and
Yeah.
that whole dynamic.
Yeah.
But with Silver Flames, the Valkyries took the front seat and
Yeah.
had all of their own agency and were just incredibly well developed characters with backgrounds and everything you look for. And
Anybody I talked to who thought that the Valkyrie were like the shining stars of Akasif, I'm like, you have to go read Throne of Glass.
Yeah.
Right now.
Oh yeah.
100%.
What's interesting too is when we talk about Crescent City, it's more of a balance. Like
Yeah.
people talk and so much about Bryce and Danica and Lahaba and all these things, but they also, thanks to Hosab, talk a ton about Rune and all these other characters, and it's kind of cool to see that balance more versus in the
Hunt
other two.
and Rune and the crew.
Rune and the crew. I love Rune and the crew. Poor Rune and the crew. They're gonna struggle in the next book, but it's fine.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about it. It's gonna ruin me for days.
Last thing I wanted to, two things I wanted to bring up. One of them is going back to Throne of Glass, which I was curious. I won't answer it. I'll let someone else answer it. But someone wanted to know how was Parrington influencing Kaltain? Because they said there was no ring on her. So what was the thing that was? Does anyone remember the answer to that?
Is it not the drugs?
It is the drugs.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I was trying also to not answer it.
I can't remember. Isn't it because
It's the opium in her pipe, and it is what is causing her headaches, as well as the power that's emanating off of the ring whenever he's near her.
And I can't remember what was in it, but I think they do kind of go into it a little bit in Crown of Midnight, if I remember correctly, because it is influencing her in a way that is different than the ring is influencing Cain.
Yes, correct.
Because like the ring is literally taking over, like there is a Valg inside of Cain, whereas there is not a Valg inside Kaltain.
Right.
But her proximity to Duke Harrington and the fact that he has this ring on, he is using whatever Valg power is inside of the Duke to influence Kaltain, and it is helping to cause her headaches and all of her delusions and things that she is experiencing. And then additionally, he gives her the opium that's supposed to help her headaches in a pipe, which just continues to exacerbate her symptoms.
Right, because I think there was one point where Kaltain like looks at his ring and like her headache like pulses.
Yes. I also wonder if it's because he's Erewhon, like he has more control over her than like the king would. Like the pipe is helping him really control her in a way that like someone who just has Valg can't do that.
Right.
I don't know. Just curious.
Right.
I also think that there's a lot of like manipulation because she's trying to climb the social ladder and he's just taking advantage of that and is manipulating her into doing things that she thinks is going to help herself in the end. And I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm going to skirt around the question that is in the chat because I don't know if you know this, but it's a Tower of Dawn thing. The only princes have possessed characters except for one in Tower of Dawn.
Correct.
That was a princess. Do you know about that?
The princes? Say it again.
So anytime like a Valg possesses someone, like with the rings, it's all princes. Like every time it's a prince. Except there is one character in Tower of Dawn who is possessed by a princess. So it's not a prince, it's a princess.
So the Valg possessed only princes, and then they possessed a princess.
The Valg, so like when Dorian gets possessed, when Cain is
There
possessed,
are Valg
they
princes.
are only
Valg princes.
they are only Valg princes. Like
Right.
that's
Except
it.
for one?
Except one time when there is a character in Tower of Dawn that is wearing a ring, and that is a
Right.
princess.
Because remember, in Kingdom of Ash, we find out the Valg princesses are the spiders.
Yes, that's a different group of princesses, though.
But yeah,
But is it not Maeve?
No, Maeve's a queen. This is where the Valg thing gets a little confusing, if I'm gonna be honest,
Yeah.
because it's for the most part it's princes all around, like Air of Fire princes, Queen of Shadows princes, Throne of Glass all princes, and then you get to Tower of Dawn and it's a princess.
Do I know this princess?
Not yet.
I don't think so.
Wow. That's exciting.
yeah, because it kind of threw me for a loop. I was like, wait, that's a princess that's possessing. That's not a prince.
Yeah.
right.
So it's kind of weird. And then the last question in the Slido, which is one that's kind of fun, is do you think it is possible that Bryce, Feyre's, well, and at one point Nesta's and Aylin's tattoo are all word marks?
Oh, easily. They're
So-
easily.
So if you don't remember, so Aylin's
Oh.
tattoo in we'll talk about the one in Kingdom of Ash. That's this one. That's the bird one. And then there is Bryce's tattoo, which says through love all is possible, but it's in a language that Bryce has never heard of, so it's most likely word marks. And then Feyre's tattoo, isn't it constellations? Isn't it moons?
It's the lunar cycle
Okay.
down her back.
But she has another tattoo.
She has her hand tattoos that are whirls and swirls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and isn't there at one point they call them whirls and swirls at one point?
They
They
call,
call them whirls.
she describes many a tattoo as whirls and swirls.
But she also described the word marks at the bottom of the tower in Throne of Glass as whirls and swirls.
Whirls and swirls, correct.
Which
There's
I'm
your
like,
next T-shirt, Sarah.
Whirls and swirls.
Whirls, swirls, and word marks.
Oh, God, yeah. And then I think the one Nesta doesn't. Oh, Nesta's is it's an ocean now, right?
Oh.
Nesta's bargain tattoo disappeared.
No, but she has another tattoo, the one that's like about the rock against the. I'm not making that up. It's the tattoo with the bargain with the cauldron. It is at the end of Silver Flames.
I'm not doubting you. I'm gonna pull it up.
Oh, I'm gonna be so excited if I'm right about this.
I'm not doubting you.
No,
I did not say once you were wrong.
But you were right about the one that everyone draws Nesta with. The 8.
which
it
is
was
the bargain tattoo. It's gone
that one's gone.
because Cassian and Nesta
Yeah, that was
fulfill their
Cassian
bargain
Nesta.
to each other.
Yes. But then she has another one. Where is that one?
Hold on, I'm looking.
I can't remember where that one is.
I don't see a new tattoo left.
It's like a.
Because her bargain with the cauldron is gaining information.
Yeah, but I'll look it up after this because I feel
I'm
like
looking right now.
I'll look it up. It's fine. Well, yeah, that was kind of the last question. Anything else you guys want to say? First off, thank you for coming. I mean, I know this was purely chaotic, but I appreciate you guys hanging out and getting to watch this live. No, it's a back tattoo. Okay, people are saying I'm not crazy. That there is.
No, you're not wrong. It's a back tattoo.
Yeah, I'm just not remembering exactly what it is.
I think it's a
Don't
wave.
worry, Sarah. You're gonna
Okay,
be
here we go.
right.
As it faded, dark ink splashed upon Nesta's back, visible through her half-shredded shirt as if it were a wave crashing upon the shore, a bargain with the cauldron itself.
I knew she had a
Hey.
tattoo. Wow. Can't believe I remembered that. Don't ask me anything
Yeah.
else about Silver Flames. I don't remember anything else.
I will
Besides
be
some sexy
getting
time
an
with
ocean
Cassian.
on my back. Got it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I knew I wasn't crazy. But yeah, so Nesta's doesn't have any words. Feyre's
No,
possibly, but probably not.
Well, and it says it splashed across her back like an ocean. It does not say it is an ocean.
Okay, fine, whatever.
Just say
I'm just saying it's probably just not like a big splat.
no. I don't think it's that.
On the note of final notes about Throne of Glass, I just want to say that I really hope that we continue to see books where female heroines get to be very Han Solo like and no hate for Black Widow, but I'm very tired of badass female heroines always saying nothing and being quiet and stoic. I love a quippy cowboy badass like Aelin, like Ansel, like Sandra.
Yeah.
More outspoken, loud, badass.
Can I get an Asriel saying I love you and a Gwen saying I know?
That would be cute.
Don't you
Can I get that, please?
That would be cute.
Look at Izzy.
We need it.
She's now gonna write it in a fanfic. She's like so excited. I mean, yeah,
I have to go.
There is definitely some, you can see that in, I really feel like you can see it in Crescent City. Like the women are so strong in Crescent, like they have the potential to be, I mean, Lydia is gonna, I hope is gonna be like a killer character in season 3. Like there's so many potential characters that are
Lydia
gonna
so much.
Right. There's just so many characters that I think are just gonna surprise us, and it is really, I mean, I've heard from people, we didn't talk about this. Did anyone find Selena annoying in Throne of Glass?
I found her brash, but not necessarily annoying.
Because people have told me repeatedly they can't stand her.
I can stand her.
I think that there
I
were
liked her.
moments that I was like, oh, you're being like a brat, but I was not like I didn't hate her. I still like had fun with her and like had a good time. There's just moments, there's just moments like
she's more difficult in Assassin's Blade. I'm just gonna be honest.
Heard.
Yeah.
But she's also 16.
She's younger and she has nothing to lose, and she's a teenager.
Who wants a perfect character? Who wants like a Mary Sue?
I mean, don't worry. You guys think I love Aelin, and I do, but when we get to Empire of Storms, I'm not kind to Aelin because I think she makes a ton of mistakes in that book.
That's her villain. I feel like that's almost her villain arc, and it's stopped by the fact that she kind of loses.
Also stopped by the fact that Rowan's like, "Can you just stop for like 5 seconds and like have
Rowan's
a conversation?"
Like,
okay, but can we all just revel in the fact that she goes full Aelin on, or full Selena on Rolf, and everybody else in the room knows?
Okay,
like, that's the best.
Oh, I love that scene.
That's the best.
It is so good once you get the context of the pirate story, because that's the only reason I love the pirate story in Assassin's Blade.
You're gonna love it.
Is because this is a perfect time to bring this up, because people always ask me about the arc, and I'm gonna prove to you that I am not wrong about Assassin's Blade. So please hold.
Go. So obviously there are multiple novellas in Assassin's Blade, Brit, that you're gonna get.
Yeah.
It's that scene that you love so much is a recall.
I always assumed it was from Assassin's Blade, and I just accepted the fact that I just won't know about it.
Yeah. Okay, so this is, I don't want to get lipstick on it because this is like probably the most expensive thing in my book collection. So this is an advanced reader copy of Throne of Glass. So this is what they gave out to people to like convince them to read it. Number 1, in the back of it has the whole marketing plan, which funny. But number 2, I do want to actually read you guys the letter from the editor director from Bloomsbury because it's hysterical. But everyone always argues with me that Assassin's Blade was released before Throne of Glass, and you are right and wrong. So it was released as novellas, only as ebooks, and then they officially bound it as the Assassin's Blade after Crown of Midnight, which is the publication order. However, in this advanced reader copy, it says, look for these ebooks of the Throne of Glass novellas, and there's only 3 listed. So,
5.
So not the complete total.
No, it is the
Assassin's
pirate,
Blade.
the desert, and the underworld. So the last one is missing, and
the healer.
And the healer is missing. So it is interesting to see that those two stories, which are important, are not in here. So
I think it's also interesting to potentially think that she didn't write about Irene until she realized that Kayla and Selena weren't going to end up
the other thing
together.
too is because so many people will say to me, and they'll say in the comments like, "Oh, you're wrong because we don't know that Sam is dead." Well, neither did you, because that story's not in here.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting thing, but I do want to read this like paragraph really quick because it's
for it.
hysterical. So it says, "Dear reader, rarely does a debut author have the assured, deft writing we were thrilled to find in Sarah J. Maas. Then again, rarely does a debut author have thousands of established fans. Sarah J. Maas honed her craft on a writing website called Fiction Press, workshopping and the unforgettable story of Selena Sardathian in a serial then known as Queen of Glass. Many years and revisions later, Sarah's online fans remain steadfast, waiting to read the final version of the novel you just opened, now titled Throne of Glass. What won me over wasn't the kick-ass heroine or the heart-pounding romance, though who isn't a sucker for a love triangle between an assassin, a prince, and a gruff captain? Okay. No, I was swept away by the fantasy world that felt so fully realized. Sarah's writing is thought-provoking, rich, and also highly accessible, which I think is the reason all of us love her. But don't just take my word for it. Check out the next few pages of praise from both our in-house sales team as well as Sarah's followers on Goodreads. Perhaps you're one of her loyal fans already. If not, prepared to become one. Best wishes, the editorial director of Bloomsbury." They were trying to sell you on a love triangle.
Well,
Honestly, I hate love triangles. If Sarah J. Maas is gonna do one, I don't care. She'll probably do it right.
Yeah.
She won't drag it out. That's my problem with love triangles. Is they drag it up. Sarah J. Maas with both Throne of Glass and Tower of Dawn is like, listen, I know you're sick of it. I'm done now. I promise.
Also,
And
oh no, go ahead.
no, go ahead. That was it.
Oh, I was just going to say, this book was published in 2012 when 3 out of the 6 reviews on this reference Selena as Katniss Everdeen.
Yep.
Oh my God. Throwback. We're never going to die. Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny. Like they really were throwing that in here, and I'm like, okay, good luck.
Not once did I think Katniss Everdeen.
I did.
No, not at all. No, Katniss
I
is
mean,
so
I didn't
quiet.
think about the Hunger Games until you said something. I was like, oh, I mean, I get, they go through some trials, but
Trials, love triangle.
like you can go through trials and I don't know. It doesn't have to
Katniss
be.
It's
and
the archery
Selena
stuff.
yeah, it's literally the archery stuff because maybe movie Katniss and this Selena, but book Katniss is very quiet
And she's
insecure, would never speak up. Like,
And that
No.
was of the times in the book world. It,
Yep,
it
and I was
fit
bored
that
of it.
story. Yeah, yeah. No,
we were
and
all bored of it.
that's why
We were bored of
Selena
it.
is such a breath of fresh air, because not only that, but I mean, they talk about periods in this book. There's so many facets of the story that are discussed in Throne of Glass that at the time was not out.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. This book came out 2 months after Shadow and Bone. Those are two very different stories in the same genre.
Oof.
Yeah.
So it's just, yeah, exactly. So it's really interesting. But anyways, I kept you guys over, but thank you for hanging out.
Sarah,
I appreciate it.
I have a question for you.
What?
What's it like running
I
a
panicked.
Throne of Glass? No, don't panic.
Oh.
Don't panic.
Oh.
I just want to ask, as like the Throne of Glass person,
Oh, God.
what's it like finally doing this? Like, you can spoil anything you want.
Oh, it's great. It's great. Because, there was a huge discussion around that. Like, are we going to do this again where we're not going to talk about it? And I was like, and I hate to say it this way, but it's true. It's only valuable for a short amount of time, whereas people really want to have a discussion around the full series. So
like all mass media.
Yeah. We, on the podcast, we try to keep it very series spoiler, or we try not to really discuss major series spoiler. Do we heavily hint
Which
at
is
things?
tough.
1000%. Did I accidentally say Aylin's name? Absolutely. Like,
100%.
it is hard, and that's, it's part of the process, but I think more, especially on this read along, like I was talking to someone about this like a year ago when everyone was reading Throne of Glass. It was because we were all getting back into reading. Like, the pandemic hit. We all just wanted to read a really good fantasy series. Now, yeah, shut up, Amanda. Now it's a totally different experience because people want to reread it. One, because they've read Crescent City and ACOTAR and they're like, oh, I now want to go back and check her catalog. Or two, they want to reread it because now they're understanding that everything connects. So it's it's a very different conversation. And so when we decided to do this, which was definitely a very long conversation with the team, it was, okay, if we're going to do this, we have to just balls to the wall. We're going to talk series spoilers. Also, it makes it easier for you guys because some people, like, Izzy's not rereading right now. That's fine. She can just come in and have a conversation and not panic about, like, did I just say something about Crown of Midnight and Throne of Glass, like, spoiler chat.
It's okay. Avery caught me up right before. I was like, Avery, tell me if this happens in Throne of Glass or Crown of Midnight.
Yeah, because even when we were discussing, I was like, I think that's Crown of Midnight. Like,
Oh yeah, no, we had you'll hear it in the podcast. We had like a full blown like my favorite quote is from I think Crown of Midnight. No, that's Air of Fire. Is it
We
Air
all
of Fire?
binged
And then
it.
we like look.
yeah.
It's
We
Air
all
of Fire.
binged it, and we can't go, oh yeah, it was when I was snowed in. No, we all binged it when we were in quarantine, wearing joggers and dress shirts.
Yeah,
Yep.
except
You
for Britt,
know.
who read it 4 years ago. So she had a very different
Except for
experience.
Britt. Britt is the exception.
Yeah. So,
All right, was I the first person? Like, did I read it before any of you guys?
yeah, you did.
Probably, yeah, for sure.
Look at you.
I only read it
Yeah.
last summer.
You're the seasoned one.
Yeah,
I
you
was-
were the trendsetter.
I was shocked to hear when Avery told me she started reading ACOTAR when I was reading Crescent City. I was like, oh my God, my mind can't process that, like, you would not touch those books. And I
Yeah.
was like knee deep at that point.
I not only
Yeah.
that, but you were also blown away by the fact that I picked up ACOTAR before I even found Book Talk.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not surprising. I knew that series was very popular before Book Talk. I totally know that, but it's
Yeah, but like
I didn't know that.
with as involved
didn't either.
in Book Talk as I am now, like it's kind of surprising. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's funny is when my sorority sisters from college are like, yeah, I was reading those books in like chapter meetings and you were just sitting there being all sassy. And I was like, oh, it's all coming together now. Like, I didn't have time to read in college. Like, I didn't have a single second to read. So
Yeah, no.
I did
I
read
feel
fan
bad.
fiction.
Who didn't?
I never stopped.
I've never read fan fiction.
That's a whole
I mean, I
other-
have now, but like that was like 2 weeks ago. I got my first
Okay,
one.
well, Caitlin,
Wait,
we're
which
going
one
to
did you
need to
read? Oh,
start
was
with
it a
Izzy.
Hermione?
It was
Well,
Manacles.
I can't read Izzy's until ACOTAR is done because it'll mess up in my head with what is.
It really won't.
It really won't.
I'm
really won't.
dyslexic.
It's
Like,
okay. It's okay.
I'm dyslexic. It'll completely like. I will read Izzy's stuff when ACOTAR is done.
That's why you got to write that baby fic for me for Throne of Glass.
I do have to write that for you. If anybody read the Daevabad trilogy, I do have post that trilogy canon.
See, I would read one for Throne of Glass because that's.
I'm terrified to do Throne of Glass.
Why? You have
because
me.
I have you, but at the same time, like I said, I can't build upon what has already been done with the female characters in that series because I feel like they all like had such beautiful ending. I have a really
Nah.
hard time.
Nah, I'll help you.
It's okay.
I can find their flaws.
I'm sorry. You're saying "we'll see" is a beautiful ending. Try again.
That's very true.
Or
That's very true.
or and then he did.
Okay,
Excuse me.
I already commented in the chat that I have a Minorian wedding thing in mind now
You
that I know
do.
about the
But
the
nothing
cape and
beats
the-
my caged baby.
No, nothing
No!
beats the quadra- It hold
Sarah.
on.
We are
Hold
not
on.
bringing that up. That is awful.
No, I really want it.
I'm gonna become unbearable.
So, Britt, you know how in Empire of Storms when there's the pregnancy scare with Aelin?
She wants a
can't
fic
even
of what if it
remember.
wasn't a
Oh, yeah.
scare.
Mm-hmm. I actually wanted if she was actually pregnant in that moment. And
Like,
then-
I
what if
actually
it
wanted
was-
it too. I
Thank
did.
you! Oh my
I
god,
wanted
thank
it.
you!
No, but Britt, what she wants is a fan fiction of Aelin being locked in a
Yes.
fucking coffin,
Absolutely.
pregnant.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I don't want her in it for very long. This is, I also have to explain, and I have to explain this every time because people think, like, no, Sarah's not, I didn't come up with this, okay? I saw it on a fan fiction site and it was god awful. And
Yeah.
so I was like, I need someone to actually write this properly because
Yeah.
this isn't it for me, but I love the concept, especially when Rowan finds out and like loses his mind because that's like PTSD for him.
He's already going through it. He doesn't
Nah,
need
he can go
more
through
trauma.
more.
Oh
See, you think
no,
it's just
no, no, no.
Asriel. Nah, Rowan can go through it. It's
No,
fine.
listen,
Imagine the freak out. Like,
Oh, it'd be so
Me and-
good. It would be so good.
exactly. Caitlin's got it. Me and Sarah have talked about it. He would get there quicker because that moment with the "you do not yield" that she like gets through to him for like a second. we were gonna have that change to like, oh, you do not yield and Wolf's pregnant.
The other thing
I'm
too
going
is
to come through this computer.
The thing that really bothered me about Throne of Glass, and this is like not a big deal in the grand scheme of things, is like they do say later, which sorry, I'll end it after this conversation. They do say that like the Whitethorns are very powerful in Dornell. And like Rowan
Where
brings
is my baby mama?
where like I can't help but think about the fact that like after they betrayed Maeve, and yes, for the most part they were in Terrasen while Rowan was trying to find Aelin at that time, but I also think about like there had to be a few still left in Dornell. So like wouldn't if they had found out, like the whole tide would have shifted at that point. Like it just wouldn't have been good. No, she wouldn't have. She would have wanted that kid because she says so in Empire of Storms. She says so.
That's really gross, and I hate everything about it.
just broke
She
this
does.
thing, but
She
says
does
so.
say in Empire of Storms that like, yeah, it
Britt,
would be
how are you doing?
unfortunate,
Are you
but it's
processing?
really hard.
Yeah.
Are you good?
No,
There's
she
a
says
lot
it in Empire.
happening
She
here.
says it in Empire of Storms. There's a line.
She says that it would be inconvenient, but like it's really difficult, and that's the first time I was like, wow, this girl is like, she's like, I gotta be a queen. She's like, yeah, that would suck, but I guess I gotta.
Avery
was
forgot to
like-
take her ADD meds today.
I'm really like, yeah. Someone's like, I
Not
thought you
doing
liked
well.
Rowan. I do like Rowan, but I also really love angst.
She loves angst.
Who doesn't love
Listen,
angst? Angst is great, but like the man has been through it.
Nah,
It's true.
it's fine.
I will say, Avery, you do love angst, but whenever I pitch angst, I know that Taylor's gonna hate it. I wonder if you're gonna like it, Avery. I know Sarah's gonna be okay with it.
Sarah's always going to
We're
be okay
chopping
with it.
off
But I
Asriel's
am your,
wings.
I'm
do
your,
know-
I-
you
okay,
do know when
but
we
I'm
get
your
cease-
middle ground,
You do know when we
I
get
am the
CC3, every time Rune gets tortured, I'm gonna be like,
and I'm going to be like, I hate it here, I hate it here, I hate it here, I hate
because
it
he's
here,
gonna
I hate
have
it
a
here.
happily ever after. That's the thing.
I know, it
he's
doesn't
gonna be
matter.
fine.
It doesn't matter.
I like going through the dark stuff. I like it.
Yeah.
I don't mind the dark stuff, but like, I need to get out of it
Do
quickly.
you
Like,
know how giddy I'm gonna be when we talk about Aelin kneeling in the glass because it's dragon glass?
Avery, there's a fine line for Avery. with
I am literally, Taylor is here on angst.
Yeah.
Sarah is here on angst, and I ride the middle. So
Good
you
place
know,
to be.
Yeah.
Nah.
you know,
Avery-
like I don't mind angst. I like it, especially if it like drives the plot forward and everything. But like, if you're doing angst for angst's sake, like chopping Asriel wings off for fun,
That was pretty good though. I kind of
No!
It was really interesting, right?
It was good.
She-
It was good.
Britt, she
Listen, we
had
can
to
talk about
put-
this after because this is one of
She-
Izzy's fix. For anyone who hasn't
Yeah.
read one of
Yeah.
Izzy's fix, go read one of her fix. Okay,
but she had to put a disclaimer on her.
I
fic
loved it.
because
okay.
it was not condoned by me.
All right. Well, we've been talking enough. I've tried to do this outro like 4 times, but it was so nice hanging out with you guys.
Okay,
In
bye.
2 weeks, we're gonna talk about Crown of Midnight. If you're in Patreon at the Reading Rose level, you're gonna get the notes tomorrow for Throne of Glass. There is gifts and links and all that fun stuff, so you're gonna get that tomorrow. And then Secret Tunnel, Crown of Midnight podcast and notes will be out not next week, but the week after. So you have
Yes.
2 weeks. Officially tomorrow in the Discord we start the Crown of Midnight reread, so you can go ahead and spoil Crown of Midnight at that point. So basically free game. And I think that's everything. I don't think I forgot anything. I don't know. If I did, it's fine. Okay. This is gonna take me a second, so just forget me. Okay, bye.
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 Let
Bye.
They can still hear us.
Yep, please.
Yeah.
hold.
Yeah.
Just so everyone knows.
All
We'll
right.
tell.